Hello, everyone. Happy Thanksgiving to you, Brian. Hello, happy Thanksgiving. So, depending on where in the world you live right now, this holiday in which we routinely get together with friends and family and enjoy each other's company, not really possible for some of us, just for health and safety reasons. It depends on where you live in the world. Where I live in the world, yeah, not safe to go visit any of my family and friends. And I know some others are in the same boat and don't really want to be in that boat because the rocking motion is making them physically ill. So, if you can't be with your friends and family this Thanksgiving, you could hang out with me for a little while. So, here we are. Hello, Lou. Hello, Matthew. No Zoom giving for you? No, no. But what I'm doing on my socially distant Thanksgiving is I bought some chips and I bought some dip. Well, I put the dip in a bowl. And it's a chili cheese dip, so I bought a log of Velveeta cheese, which I don't think is even real cheese. And I bought some chips, and I made myself some. Whoop! It broke. There we go. I made myself some dip. Ah, mmm, num num num. Chili cheese dip. And I bought myself some soda. Ah, sugar. Ooh, sugar. See, I drink like nothing but water. I like Coke, but water is like all I drink. So, not used to that. This is 12 fluid ounces, right? Yeah. This feels smaller. Both the can. It's been a while since I've had a can of soda. I have. I'm 40. I haven't grown in a long time, so I don't know why this thing feels so much smaller. But and it's Thanksgiving, so yeah, I'm gonna eat on this podcast, and it's probably gonna be really gross, but that's okay. You can eat too. Let me know in the chat what you're eating. Um, it's probably gonna be less disgusting than watching me eat. So yeah, Brian, I know you're on the other side of the pond. So I tried to schedule today's little 57th best option for Thanksgiving at a time when most in America would be available. So the Pacific to Eastern time would be 4 to 7, which seems a good dinnerish time for anyone in America who lives alone and can't go visit friends or family right now. This seemed like the best time frame I could host something like this. So, hey Liz, making vegetarian lasagna, huh? Nice. Make sure you post pictures on Facebook. Matthew says, would have thought you would do Zoom giving with your sister and mother. I suppose we could have done that, but we didn't. But all of my family, um, whoa, soda. All of my family, save me, uh, live with other people. My dad lives with his wife. My mom lives with her husband. My sister lives with her boyfriend, and I don't know if his kids are there or at their mother's. But point is, all of my family live with people that they're currently having Thanksgiving with. And while we could like have me on a laptop in a Zoom meeting, just kind of on the table there, going, "Hi, I've got chips." That seems kind of fifth wheelish, But I did. I texted all my family and friends this morning, wished them a happy Thanksgiving and such. Hey, lyrically, Lou says, "Well, to quote James Corden, you know what we call Thanksgiving in the UK? Thursday." Brian says, "I'm actually an American, so it does mean something to me. Also Canadian, and as of last 30, a Briton." Free kill, hello. Nice to see you all. I hope even though you're hanging out with me, you uh, are having or had a very pleasant Thanksgiving day. Um, so I have been playing um, Sleeping Dogs. I have the box on the floor next to me. Essentially, it is. Lyrically says, "I wonder, Andrew, did you ever have a Thanksgiving video game you played or planned to play?" Not necessarily anything for Thanksgiving specifically, but oh goodness, soda. But I did start a new game a couple of days ago called Sleeping Dogs, which is an older game now. I think it was like 2013 or something like that. It's essentially true crime streets of Hong Kong. Now, back in 2003-ish, there was a game called True Crime Streets of LA, which was an open world game where you play a police officer who wanders around busting crime, and you can be kind of good cop or bad cop. And one of the big gimmicks of the game was that the map of LA was actually the real street maps of LA. Um, you couldn't really recognize a lot of the buildings except major landmarks, but you could definitely recognize. Like I drove into like down the streets where I was born in Orange, uh, pa- uh, Panorama City. It's where I grew up first couple of years, and then moved to Granada Hills, and then out to Phoenix. Now I'm in San Diego. So it's a neat game where if you knew LA, you could actually drive around, which was neat, but also the problem with the game because no one wants to drive around in LA. I've always made the joke that if you're in LA and you're going somewhere and you miss your exit, go somewhere else. Because you're never you're screwed now, because that's how the freeway system up in LA works. You miss your exit, you're sunk. It's not a matter of driving to the next exit and turning around. Oh, no, not that simple. um Freeways just go all over the place, and Streets of LA has exactly the same problem. It is really difficult to get anywhere in that darn game, but it is a really fun game. They followed it up with True Crime New York City. I still think they should have called it True Crime Streets of New York, but I also think they should have called Sleeping Dogs True Crime Streets of Hong Kong. Now, I don't know if a True Crime Street or Sleeping Dogs is actually its street geography is Hong Kong. I have absolutely no idea, but so far I'm really enjoying the game. Uh, Soulcaster really likes true crime. Uh, New York City was not as good. It's hard for me to remember because it's been a decade since I played them, but I remember not liking it as much as Streets of LA, but still a fun game in its own right, I think. Uh, wasn't Snoop Dogg supposed to be in one of the true crime? He is in one of the true crime games. I don't remember which one, but there are 30 dog bones hidden throughout the city, which if you collect all 30 of them or whatever number it is, then you can play as Mr. Dog. And it's pretty funny. Um, Thanksgiving always reminds Brian of Dragon Quest VII, thanks to a memory of playing it while the radio played the traditional Alice's Restaurant. Elizabeth says, I enjoyed driving around to LA. I'm a weirdo and I had navigators. That's true. This day and age when we have, I mean, even 15 years ago when we had Garmin's that we put on our dashes, now we just have our phones, which have Google Maps or whatever. Navigating around LA is not as big a deal anymore. I'm talking about back when I was a kid and we had to use a thing called a map. Because I swear, back when I was a kid, everyone, you could find a map, an actual physical fold out map in everybody's trunk because you needed those. You get lost, you can't, because, I mean, we had cell phones back when I was a chillin', but they weren't smartphones. You couldn't map anything on them. There was no real screen. Um, Flip phones came later, and those barely did that. And then we had Garmin's, or that's a specific brand, but the actual things you set on the dash that were devoted specifically to mapping. And now it's just an app on your phone. And that technology is fun. Hi, Lindy. Happy Thanksgiving to you. So, streets of Hong Kong, I'm really quite enjoying. It does one thing, well, many things very, very well. But it does one of the most important things you can do in a video game, and that is have dress up mode. And boy, howdy, does True Crimes or Sleeping Dogs have an extensive dress up mode. You can go to all the little shops and markets and stores and buy clothes, and you get clothes rewarded for beating various missions. And a lot of them are shirts and hats, and also watches and bracelets and shoes and chains and shades and stuff like that. But some of them are just full-on outfits. And oh man, they are hilarious. Of course, the first thing I did was remove my character's pants and just run around in my boxers, playing a Hong Kong police detective going undercover to infiltrate the triads. I'm like, yeah, jacket, sneakers, and boxers. They'll never suspect a thing. um, but man, they've got all kinds of wonderful costumes in the game. They of course have one that's based on that yellow tracksuit that Bruce Lee wore in one of the movies, Game of Death or something. Um, they've got one that looks kind of like the one that Jackie Chan wore in Drunken Master. They've got SWAT gear, riot gear. They've got the naked, except but pretty much full body tattoo. They've got a Shaolin monk get up. They've got all kinds of wonderful stuff in the game. It's great. They've got all kinds of funny hats. It's great. It's also a game where you can jack any car you see and take it for a spin. You can also get a big garage full of cars. You can buy them. What's funny is later in the game, as you level up, you get more and more perks. And one of the perks you get is at like popularity level 4 or something. You get access to a valet who will bring you a car no matter where you are, which is great because sometimes you are just out in the middle of Hong Kong and you're not near a parking garage where you can summon one of your own cars and you have to either steal a car, run down a taxi or something like that. Now you can just call up your valet and summon a car. So when I first tried this, I pull out my phone and I summon the valet. It goes, "Oh, yes, sir, Mr. Shen, sir. Well, I'll bring you a car right now." Standing on the corner. And he tools up in this piddly little moped. I'm like, really? That's not a car. I mean, better to walk in. It's like, yeah, you got a valet. He'll bring you a vehicle of sorts, no matter where you are. It's like it's like a step above a Segway. It's hilarious. Um, uh, There's also lots of nice little attention to detail. Like every time Wei Shen, your protagonist, gets on a motorcycle, he pulls a motorcycle helmet out of absolutely nowhere and plops it on his head, which is funny because if you get off the motorcycle, he takes off the helmet and just he's got a very bad litter habit. He just throws everything on the ground. So you can go to food stalls and buy dumplings or meat on a stick or whatever, and pork buns, and for damage and health buffs and stuff. And he'll just take one bite or one swig and throw the wrapper on the ground. It's terrible. And he does the same thing with his motorcycle helmet. So if you get on a motorcycle, he pulls out a helmet, puts it on, get off the motorcycle again. He'll throw it on the ground, get on the motorcycle. He'll pull out a brand new helmet. And you can keep doing that, just litter the ground with helmets. It's hilarious. Um, Lyrically says, driving in open world games, what is your take on it? I tried to buy everything in Sleeping Dogs. Not too bad unless you're trying to buy the legendary outfits or vehicles. You actually make quite a bit of money in this game. And at first I was like, where am I going to be spending all this money? Because the clothing wasn't that expensive. And then I realized, oh, you can buy vehicles. Okay, that's where a lot of the money goes. Because I mean, a couple hours in the game, I had like $400,000. Not sure why the monetary unit is in dollars, but whatever. Um, but yeah, oh, you can also you have this really crap little apartment, but you can also buy stuff for your apartment. So there's a night market right next to where you live that the your gangster boss person is the keeps under his thumb. He protects it, which means he extorts all the vendors for money. But if you wander around there, you'll find people in the back alleys selling hot items like air conditioners and sound systems. So you can decorate your place with stuff you buy in the market. So I bought a brand new bed, um, sound system. I bought a bird in a cage. Um, you actually get another apartment. It's a really nice apartment when you get to a new city. And I bought a rug and coffee table or something like that. Still need a couch. Um, really fun game. Really enjoying it. It can be a little janky in places. Um, for example, this goes to what Lyrically was asking me about driving in open world games. Kind of depends on the game. But driving in open world games, driving itself has to be fun. Otherwise, it's just a chore because open world games, especially large open world games, there's often not a lot to do between point A and point B. I'll give you an example. LA Noire. That probably shouldn't have been an open world game. It's a police procedural detective kind of game. You solve crimes, and you have to manually drive across the city from point A to point B, and it's really boring because there's nothing on the map to do. There are actually a few locations you can visit just to be there, like here's the La Brea Tar Pits, yay! But there's really nothing to do. It really feels like the developers said, "Oh man, driving's boring." Also, the vehicles handle like crap and aren't fun to drive. Now, in Sleeping Dogs, the handling kind of depends on the car, but generally, um, most things you can crash into without completely halting your progress. And by that, I mean literally bringing your vehicle to a stop, or you have to really run people over before the police start harassing you. So if the controls are a little loose, not that big a deal because you're not, it doesn't penalize you for it. Also, it goes fast enough and controls arcadey enough to be fun to just kind of zip around and power slide around corners and then drift into a wall. It's just kind of funny when that happens. Also, when you hit parking meters, you get the money inside them, which kind of helps because you can drive along the sidewalk, just hit parking meter after parking meter. It's like 30 bucks, 30 bucks, 40 bucks, 30 bucks, 25 bucks, 50 bucks. And you're like, yeah. Um, so little things like that really, really help making driving around interesting. There's also a lot of ramps and stuff that you can scoot off of. You can also jack cars uh, from while driving. You don't have to wait till something stops. You can, if you see another car you like, you can actually climb out and jump to the other car and pull the person out. It's hilarious. Oh, also, you can do a thing where you lean out the window and shoot at bad guys. But the first time you do it, the glass on the driver's side of the car explodes because Wei Shen does not roll down the window. He just smashes his face through the window. He does it every time too. It's hilarious. I love little attention to detail like that. I imagine there was just a lean out of the car animation, and then someone says, "Isn't the window up?" It's like, "Oh yeah, glass smash." That's great. There's actually it's an open world, but it's not um, too large. It's the four main cities. There's like nothing between them except it's just kind of long stretches of freeway. Don't know if that's actually how Hong Kong's laid out or if it's a loading thing, but it makes it kind of a boring pain in the butt to drive to a different city. You almost want to find a taxi and just warp there. Um, so that can be kind of problematic. Um, but being around your own city is fine because there's usually a lot of stuff to do. You have triad missions, you have cop missions, you have anytime you see an armored truck, you can jack it and drive it to a safe house. There's a guy who's constantly saying, "Hey, if you see this kind of car, jack it and bring it in because I have someone who wants it." Um, there are little clusters of bad guys that you can beat up, and then while they're all unconscious, hack the nearby security camera, and then go back to your apartment and look at the security feed and go, "That guy's the bad guy," and then the cops go bust them. Um, there are races, of course. Um, so you there are collectibles to find. So there are little lock boxes all over the place that have money and clothes in them. Some of them are locked, and you have to do little hacking mini games that are actually kind of fun. Um, there's also a neat mini game where you have to find someone by driving to a point to triangulate their position, and then doing another little mini game to figure out exactly where in the city they are by bouncing the signal off of different phone towers and stuff. It was actually a little difficult for me to figure out what the game wanted me to do, but once I did, I was like, "Oh, that's kind of cool." Um, so yeah, sleeping dogs anyway. Driving between cities is kind of sucks. So if there's a mission in another city, you're like, "I don't want to drive all the way over there." But when you're in a city, it's fine. There's also, I mentioned, there's clothing stores, there's massage parlors, which is kind of funny because in the first area you're in is kind of a lower income area. So all the massage parlors are very uh, pretty explicitly sex work, not actual massages. Maybe there's a massage involved there at some point, but it's pretty clearly a prostitution. And what that does, there's vending machines. Vending machines increase your attack. There's an apothecary where you can get tea, which increases your defense. And then spending time at the massage parlor increases your social standing. It's called your face. You know, in a wrestling, there's the face, the good guy, and the heel, the bad guy. You have a face meter. And when you spend time at the massage parlor, that's a buff to your face meter. And the more face you have, the more perks you get, like the valet person. But when you get into the higher income portion of the city, you go to the massage parlor and it's actually a legit massage business. So that's interesting. Let's see. Lyrically says Saints Row the Third clothing options is bonkers and awesome. Yeah, it's true. I haven't played it, but I've seen enough of it to know that you speak the truth. James, hello. Uh, the experimental car near the end of the game was insane. I haven't got there yet. Chaos says GTA 5 handles driving rather well. I've not played GTA 5, which is interesting because that came out in the 360 PS3 generation, and it's still around in the Xbox Series X and PS5 generation. That's why make GTA 6 when you can just keep milking 5 for decades. Kage Neko-sama, hello. Spider-Man did it well. Well, I don't think you drive in Spider-Man, but you do web sling all over the place, which, depending on which specific game you're talking about, does it really well. Um, Suzanne, hello. Happy Thanksgiving to you. Lyrically says I didn't like the karaoke in the game. Yeah. The karaoke in I've been spoiled by the karaoke majesty of the Yakuza games, but the karaoke minigame in Sleeping Dogs is not fun. It's kind of crap. I admire them for trying to do something different, and I actually really admire the fact that Wei Shen is not a good singer. He's a bit pitchy, but it is kind of cute that he's not really good at all. He's pitchy, to put it politely. But yeah, the actual mini game is not fun to play. Also, weird selection of songs. It's like Pat Benatar and Robert Palmer, and I'm like, this is a weird selection of songs for a Hong Kong karaoke bar. I mean, I'm American, so and a middle-aged American, so I'm like, yeah, I mean, fine. You want to give me some '80s tunes? I'm fine with that, but odd choice. Like in GTA, as you drive around, you can. There's a lot of music in the game, and you can change the radio station. You hear commercials and stuff. It's actually pretty cool. Now, one thing I like is most of the main cast appears to be um, Chinese American bilingual because they're constantly dropping Chinese into their dialogue, which makes sense. They're in China. They'd probably be speaking primarily Chinese, but American game. So, but it's nice that they still keep that that flavor in there. So it's great when they slip into Chinese. You actually get, to my ear. I could be completely wrong here, but to my ear anyway, authentic Chinese pronunciation and accent. But the incidental characters that you hear out on the street, like the street vendors and the proprietors of the massage parlors, and they all sound like Americans doing kind of offensively stereotypical Chinese accents, you know, which is really weird. Like you had two completely different teams um, working on those different aspects of the game. Someone's like, we need to get some actual Chinese Americans to, you know, do the dialogue so that when they can deliver accurate Chinese dialogue. What about you know, the street vendor? Just have Marvin over in accounting do his best Chinese accent. No, no, don't do that. Um, oh, you can also increase your health by there's little shrines dotted across the map that you can light incense and pray at, and every 10 you get a buff to your health, which is kind of neat. Um, the As far as the story goes, it's not. It's fine. It's good enough to propel you through the story. Some of the characters are entertaining, but it's not particularly well written. I mean, you're an undercover cop. You may be going too far. You may be forgetting who you really are. You may be letting your emotions get the better of you and taking everything personally instead of law. You keep meeting with your police handler, and the scene is like the same thing each time. You're too far in, Wei Shen. You're forgetting who you are. I'm a cop and I'm getting results. Oh yeah, that's true. Okay then. And it's like the same scene like 4 times now. Also, your boss, Winston, is getting married. That just comes out of nowhere, but good for him. He's marrying a Peggy, seems to be a nice woman, and he says, "Hey, can you cart Peggy all over town to go get flowers and birthday cakes, wedding cake, and stuff like that? Wedding prep." And you say, "Sure." And that mission that you spend with her, you get to know her. Peggy seems like a cool person who's going to be your sister now, and that's really nice. And then she dies because we have a red wedding. Nice day for it. And it's sad. And it would have been a bit more impactful if she had been a presence throughout the entire game and hadn't been introduced literally in the previous mission. I mean, she's well characterized. She makes a hell of an impression in that mission, but wouldn't it be nice if it, pro tip from someone who doesn't know what the hell he's talking about. In storytelling, if you're going to kill off a character and you want the audience to feel it, don't introduce them right before you knock them off, because we don't have a chance to know them yet. Oh, spoilers for a decade-old game. Sorry. So, but still a really fun game. I'm having a Free Kill says not a good singer, so an authentic karaoke experience. Yes, they also do this really, really good reverberating echo sound. It has that exact same karaoke into a microphone, uh, slightly delayed echo, so it sounds really bad. I mean, it does the actor no favors. Again, he's a little pitchy anyway, but so I really like the presentation of the karaoke mini game in Sleeping Dogs. It's just the mini game itself is just a little dull to play. Oh well. Lou says, "Past my bedtime, so I'm off. Have fun." Yep. Good night, Lou. So, did there used to be more in these? 12 fluid ounces just doesn't do it for me like it used to. Jared says, "Would you take Trails in the Sky second chapter as a thanks to get you finished first chapter quicker?" Brian, you're off too. All right, good night. Mary, happy Thanksgiving to you too. Yes. I can't. I mean, one of my viewers actually. I was going to mention this in the recap, but Chaos actually. If you were watching the charity event a couple of weeks ago, sometime in the wee small hours of the morning, Chaos says, "Hey, if you meet your $2,000 goal, I'll buy you Astral Chain." I said, "Oh, awesome." We met our $2,000 goal. And I remembered that offer, but I didn't bring it up because I was like, it's fine. I don't know if he was serious or not, but he actually messaged me later and says, "No, I'm serious." So I do not have it in reach, but I do have Astral Chain, and I'm looking forward to playing that. So yeah, I don't foresee Trails in the Sky first chapter taking a turn, me suddenly disliking it. So yeah, if you want to gift me second chapter, I'm certainly not going to say no. But yeah, I'm gonna, whether through gift or me buying it. I'm definitely going to get that at some point. And the viewers seem to all be in agreement that they're really enjoying my playthrough and would like to see me continue with the subsequent games. So I probably will. Um, as most of you know, though, my computer conveniently died. And I say conveniently because it waited until after the Extra Life charity event and right after I finished my Middle Aged Man Watches Gem and the Holograms video series. So November 7th, that weekend, was the Extra Life charity event. The following Monday was the penultimate episode of Gem and the Holograms. Then that next Thursday was the final episode of Gem and the Holograms. Then that Friday was my best favorite songs of season 3 Gem and the Holograms video. And then Saturday my PC died. And that makes me sad because I can't play any of my PC games right now. But I mean, I've got console games, and I can't stream any games. I can't make any videos. I had a really large lizard in my bathroom yesterday, and I made a video about it, but I can't edit it because my PC's dead, which is why I'm doing this live stream using basically I'm just using a webcam to live stream. I can't edit or bookend it or do anything else with it. So currently shopping around for PC parts. And hopefully I can, Black Friday. Black Friday is tomorrow, and Cyber Monday is Monday. Hopefully I can get some good deals for some of the components. And once I get my new PC, again, it depends on how quickly these parts can get to me, because sometimes they're out of stock. Shipping sometimes takes longer than you think. So hopefully I have my new PC here and up and running by by middle of December at the latest, and then I can resume streaming Trails in the Sky. And man, I really want to get back to that game because Brian, who supports me on Patreon at a tier that awards him a. So if you support me on Patreon at $10 a month for an entire year, I will make you a custom video. Brian does that, and his custom video for this year is he sent me a questionnaire about where I think the plot of Trails in the Sky is going. But it's based on me having finished chapter 3. So the idea is, as soon as I finish chapter 3, I'll sit in front of my camera and then look at his questions and answer them, and we'll see how close I get to guessing what happens. I haven't seen the questions yet, and I'm in the middle of chapter 3 in Trails in the Sky. So I feel really bad because that's his video that he supports me on Patreon and he's earned, and it keeps getting put off because, well, I mean, my PC's broken, can't play the game, can't edit video anyway, but that happens sometimes. So yeah, really looking forward to so there are a couple things once I get my PC set up, there's a couple of things I want to do in the Sunday game stream. One, I want to get back into Trails in the Sky, not only because I really want to play it, but also I need to finish chapter 3 so I can do Brian's Patreon reward video. I would like to. I'd like to do, one Sunday do Astral Chain. I think that would be fun. See how I think that. One of the things I'm looking to get for my new PC is an actual integrated capture card. I use an external device right now, which means if I stream console video games, there's about a 1500 millisecond delay. So I have to put an artificial delay on the audio and video so that it syncs up with the game footage. With an integrated capture board, I would be able to import the latency would be low enough where I wouldn't have to do that. It would just be a lot easier to do. So that's something I'm looking into also. But I'd also, pardon me, I'd like to one of the thing in the Extra Life charity event, one of the awards was if you donated $50, you could name one of the horses in Breath of the Wild. You can have 5 horses, and I sold all 5 horses, but I only named 4 of them. I missed one. uh, Eddie, I think. I still owe you a horse. So and I know what horse I'm going to get. I found a really good horse. So we're going to, one of our Sunday streams is going to go back to Breath of the Wild. We're going to get Eddie's horse, and we're going to go kick Ganon's butt. So stay tuned for that. I've got a lot of fun things planned. I, I, I just need a PC. And, been a lot of unexpected expenses for me this year. I'm sure I'm not alone in the boat of unexpected expenses, but my car died in July, so I had to buy a new car. Was not expecting that. Was not planning for that. So that sucks. And my PC died. So luckily, I have some lovely support via Patreon, so that's gonna take a lot of the sting out of buying a new PC. So thank you everyone for your support. Um, yeah. So what do you? Jared says it's on sale. Oh, Trails in the Sky SC. Yeah, I think it's on sale via Steam. I think. Um, and I thought, I've got enough expenses right now, and I'm playing so damn slow that another sale will probably roll around by the time I need to actually buy second chapter. So I didn't pull the trigger on that yet. Um, um, you need an account to gift it. Okay. I think my Steam account is just Andrew Eisen. Um, so there. Elizabeth says, "Woot, gem." I have I have a list of post gem videos that I would like to do. I'm probably not going to do all of them, but I've got ideas for a couple, and I can't do them right now. um, but there are a couple things I would like to go back and look at regarding Gem the Hologram. So for those of you who I came to your notice via my gem videos. I do hope you enjoy some of my other work, but if not, if it was really only the gem videos that attracted you, I will have a couple more things to say about gem. Still need a computer. I've got the parts picked out. I just looking to find some decent deals on it. I actually I actually woke up this morning, like early in the morning, because I thought of something that I didn't think of before, and that was for my new computer, because I'd picked out the parts and said, okay, this is what I'm going to get. And then 4 in the morning, I wake up and I go, I need a DVD drive. I could probably, or a Blu-ray drive. I could probably just use the one in my old computer. Did the computer case I picked out actually have a bay for a new drive? I need to check that. I mean, especially if I buy my luck. I double checked, and Windows actually comes on a thumb drive now instead of a CD, so that's not an issue. But that's one of those things. I woke up, I'm like, oh my god, did I totally forget a piece? That's one of the scary parts about building your own PC is building your own PC really does not have that many parts. I mean, it's only like 7 or 8 different parts, but you miss one and you're kind of stuck until you buy another one. I mean, worst comes to worst. I just I kind of have to if I have a casing that doesn't allow installing a disk drive bay. Um, you can always just pop open the side and plug it in. It looks ugly, but I live alone. Who cares? Um, So anyway, just uh, if only PCs lasted forever, right? If only you only ever had to buy like my dip has solidified. It is now very very hard cheese. Susan, and it came up from the drain. She's talking about the lizard that I found in my bathroom last night, which is weird. Now I see spiders in here all the time. Um, saw a black cricket the other week. They're usually brown. I've never seen a black cricket. I thought it was a spider at first, but I was like, no, that's a cricket. But you see little spiders and stuff all over the place. Scoop them up, throw them outside. Not a big deal. So I'm exercising yesterday. I go out, I do my warm up run, come back in, and I walk into the bathroom. I've still got I'm dripping sweat. I've got my weight vest on. Walk into the bathroom, and there's this like 8 or 9 inch lizard just sitting on the floor. Hey, how are you? I'm like, how the hell did you get in here? I mean, not a little lizard either. Fairly big lizard. I have a picture of it on my Twitter account if you want to go see it. The bath mat, for scale purposes, the bath mat that it's sitting on, 24 inches wide. So I estimate that little lizard was about 8, maybe 9 inches long. It's a fairly sizable lizard. Um, and Suzanne was having none of it. She's like, no. um, my guess is that sucker came up out of the tub drain because I looked at all my baseboards and I'm not seeing a hole anywhere. I looked at the fittings around my toilet where the whole unit sits on the floor and the water bit goes into the wall. That's all sealed. I pulled out the stuff under my bathroom sink, and there's no holes back there that I could find. So the only thing that makes sense to me is if that sucker just crawled up the drain and then used the curtain to get out of the tub and onto the bathroom floor. I mean, it's either that or that sucker snuck in the front door and ran to the bathroom, and I didn't notice until I got back. Maybe, but my money's on the tub drain. But I got this on video, so as soon as I get a new computer, I'll put together something, and you'll get to see it because Suzanne, it's super cute. Um, but I was like, oh man, getting. I was thinking, how am I going to get this lizard out of my house? Because I have a pull-up bar in the bathroom door frame, so I can't close the bathroom door. So whenever someone, back in the days when we had company, whenever someone came over, I had to remember to take the pull-up bar down so that they could, close the bathroom door when they were using the bathroom. Because nobody likes to poop with the door open, at least most people. So I was like, oh man, if this sucker runs out into my house, into the main living area, oh man, that is going to be a thing. But I managed to get him into a little trash basin in less than 2 minutes. It's fairly easy. I tried to scoop him up. He ran behind the toilet and hid behind my loo brush. So I picked up the loo brush and shoot him out from behind the toilet, and he happened to run back into the um, waste bin that I had. So just took him outside and put him in the big flowery landscaped bit outside, and I'm sure he's happier out there than in my bathroom. So uh, hello, Farlow. Thank you. Happy Thanksgiving to you too. Jared says send a friend request. It'll have to wait. Well, actually, I think after the stream is over, I was gonna say I don't have the Steam client. This is my work PC, so I don't have the Steam client on it. But I can probably log in via the web and do it that way. So I'll try that after the show. Um, and if your name isn't Jared Kinski on Kni- is it a silent K? Knizzly? Hmm. If your name isn't Jared K on Steam, message me on Twitter or something. Let me know so I recognize it. Although it's probably the only friend request on there. So, um, Elizabeth says, "Have Minx build you a new PC. That will go well." Yeah. Um, uh, yeah. Re Velveeta. Basically, it's just just microwave it. It'll be fine. Yes, he's that little. He says, "Look, yeah, it's 8 or 9 inches. It's a little guy. A bit big for a lizard. Most lizards are, 5 or 6 inches. The fairly. Suzanne was asking me at Twitch, "Is that a baby alligator?" No, no, it's not an alligator. It's just a lizard. Viper, happy Thanksgiving. Shame you can't get kittens randomly appear in your head. Yeah, seriously. I mean, I got spiders or crickets and a giant lizard. It would be awesome if it's just random kitten. It's like, oh, there's a kitten in my bathroom. Might be a little bit harder to, you know, put outside, but I mean, if you found a kitten and you came home and there's a kitten in your bathroom, I find spiders and lizards and I'll pick them up and put them outside. But if I found a kitten, I, I might have to pet it for a while before I finally put it outside. Um, Suzanne says that thing had teeth and spit venom. Don't lie. Well, I mean, I didn't pick it up with my bare hands. I know what kind of lizard it is. I doubt it's venomous, but it can bite. Probably hard enough to break skin. So, I mean, I'm not going to lose a finger to anything like that, but I don't really need to get bit. Um, it's not like a Gila monster or anything. Those things, uh, those will do some damage. Which was funny. I've told this story before, but hang on a second. Let me get another soda. Yeah, that's right. Um, Thanksgiving Day is a cheat day. I'm gonna have all kinds of chips and dip and soda. Oh, I actually for my Thanksgiving cheat day. Normally in the exercise world, it's not cheat day; it's cheat meal. You don't get a cheat day; you get a cheat meal, not the whole day. That's not how that works. But for me, it's a cheat day. So part of my cheat day is I bought cinnamon rolls for breakfast. The kind where they come in that cardboard cylinder that you pull the wrapper off and then you twist and pop, and you're like, oh god, those things. So pull the wrapper off, pop, oh god, and the five little cinnamon rolls in there were one. I could not separate them into five distinct rolls. I tried. Lord help me, I tried. But they just came apart. Um, so it was more like cinnamon spaghetti because each individual, because what it is a long piece of pastry that has a bunch of cinnamon slathered on it, and then it's rolled up into a tube and then scored. So you pull each chunk off, and each chunk is just a little spiral of dough, and you could unwrap that into a long strand. So in trying to separate it, I just had strands of dough everywhere and just had a big plop of it on the baking sheet. And so I throw it in the oven and then I look at the cylinder and the had exploded the case of icing. So that had exploded all over the place. So I had to, luckily, it was sitting on a plate that I was going to use for serving. So I had to, once I got them out of the oven, I had to scrape all the icing off of the plate and the inside of the cardboard tube to slather on the rolls, and which were not rolls anymore. They were just long strips of dough that were kind of wadded up into balls, cinnamon balls. So that didn't go great. I still tasted all right, but that that could have gone better. Maxima Sydney, hello. Just found you through your Mezzo Forte video. I did a Mezzo Forte video. Mezzo Forte is a action anime. It's a lot of fun too. It's kind of odd because it has explicit sex in it. That's a couple of years ago, to celebrate the month of masturbation, which is May, I think, which is a thing. May is like National Masturbation Month. You need a lot of stamina. So when I found that out, I was like, "Oh man, I've got to do something to celebrate." And instead of doing the one thing you're supposed to do to celebrate, I instead made a series of videos. I think one a week. So I think I had 4 or 5 videos celebrating Masturbation Month by highlighting various films in my collection that have explicit sex in them, and Mezzo Forte was one of them. So I also covered things like Thriller, A Cruel Picture, which is, I think, a Swedish rape revenge movie from the 70s. I think one of the alternate titles is They Call Her One Eye, I think. So I think most. So it's from that series. So welcome, Maximum. So it took me a minute to. I'm like, I did a Mezzo Forte video, but I did. So hope you enjoy. Jared, thank you. So Silent K, nicely. Okay, thank you. So hope you enjoy the other videos I have. Here's an interesting bit. One of the videos I did for Month of Masturbation was called a Slaughter Disc, and the star of Slaughter Disc, whose name I don't remember, Susan. She actually saw the video and contacted me on somewhere just to say, "Hey, saw the video covering Slaughter Disc and wanted to say I'm glad you were good humored towards it." I went, "Thanks." And then I looked at her name. I went, "Where do I know that name from?" And then I looked at her profile picture and I went, got out my Slaughter Disc. I'm like, "You're the person in the movie." So that was pretty neat. Or she's not. And it's just some random person on YouTube pretending to be the person in the movie, but it's probably her. So that was pretty cool. Suzanne says, "You live in Australia. Don't lie to us." No, no, no. It's Southern California. Imagine the horrors that crawl out of your drain in Australia, though. Elizabeth said, "I had to chase a pigeon out of the apartment hallway with a doormat once. Luckily, the window it came in was still open." The only time I've ever had a bird in the house is if a cat brought it in. So, like, my mom lives in Cadiz, Kentucky. So she lives out on a big piece of property out in the middle of nowhere. And she has a bunch of cats, and the cats will occasionally bring stuff in. Sometimes small things like mice or other rodents, birds. They've brought in snakes. They've brought in bunnies. They've brought in bats. Not always dead. Not always even particularly that injured. My favorite one, however, is when one of the cats brought something unexpected in. It was in the closet. It was long, thin, and silver and a little slimy looking, so I thought it was a snake. But it wasn't slithering, it was flopping because it was a fish. One of the cats had fished a tuffy out of the pond, dragged it all the way up the hill and into the house, and put it in the closet. This poor fish flop. You never expect to see a fish in your closet. Ah, cats. Let's see. Is Coke my favorite soda? Um, yes, that's Coca-Cola is my favorite soda. Which is fine. I don't drink I don't drink anything other than water and protein shakes. But yeah, back in the day, when I was younger, and we'd go to restaurants, I'd have a Coke with my meal or a soda because free refills. Nowadays, I just drink water. Nowadays, don't go out to eat. But they'd always say, "Have a Coke, please." Is Pepsi okay? No, it's not. Pepsi's fine. I don't dislike Pepsi, but they taste different. They're both colas, but you have them side by side. You do a blind taste test, you may find that you prefer the taste of Pepsi to Coke, but you're never going to mistake one for the other. They are two very distinct tastes. I prefer Coke. I'll tell you though, I do like other sodas. I do like root beer. I like cream soda. Um, I like ginger ale. Um, but yeah, Coke's my favorite. You know which one I genuinely don't like? Dr. Pepper. One thing I will give Dr. Pepper though is Diet Dr. Pepper tastes almost exactly like Dr. Pepper, and that's laudable, except for the fact that I can't stand the taste of Dr. Pepper, so it doesn't matter that Diet Dr. Pepper tastes almost exactly like regular Dr. Pepper. And that's funny because I know some people who swear by Dr. Pepper, but honestly, I think it's gross. But, to each their own. Deja Voodoo. Hello. Happy Thanksgiving to you too. Pepsi tastes a lot sweeter. I, yeah, probably. Yeah, that might. I haven't had Pepsi in so long. Probably since I was in a restaurant and ordered a soda, and they says Pepsi okay, and I went, yeah, yeah. And when I grow up and I own a restaurant, I'm going to have Pepsi and Coke. Actually, there's probably something where Pepsi will not sell you Pepsi to use in your restaurant if you also have Coke and vice versa. There's probably something dumb like that. Um, anyway, let's see. Suzanne says we got about 10 Cokes. Turns out my boyfriend likes caffeine-free Coke the best. I do like vanilla Coke. I like cherry Coke. I like some of the various different flavors of Coke. Um, I do not like Coca-Cola Black. I, re- I remember I saw that in. You can tell I'm not used to carbonated beverages because I'm belching all over the place. Um, I was in the grocery store and I saw Coca-Cola Black. I went, "Ooh, I like black," so I bought it and I tried it, and ooh, no, it's like coffee cola, and ew. I don't like coffee anyway, but yeah, that was did not like. 70 double X times 7 double X. Root beer float. Root beer floats are good. Ice cream and root beer. It's good. Chaos says Dr. Pepper tastes like cough medicine. Yeah, at least it's not as bad as Robitussin. Because, man, Robitussin makes me shudder. You take Robitussin, you do that. It's like it's so terrible. At least I can drink a Dr. Pepper without physically shuddering. Um, Deja Voodoo says, I hate plain basic Coke, but with vanilla or cherry, well, that changes everything. Lyrically C says, I know cherry Coke tastes better than Pepsi Wild Cherry, which tastes like regular Pepsi. Elizabeth says, there's a cult sort of thing up here that imports Mexican Dr. Pepper with real sugar. We've got something similar down here where I know a lot of folks down here in Southern California who swear by Mexican Coca-Cola, which is made with actual cane sugar instead of sucrose or whatever's in this. I've had it. It tastes a little bit different. Little. The sweetness has a different color to it, if you will, but it's not so much better that I'm going out of my way to get it. And again, I don't drink soda, but for special occasions anyway. But lyrically, see, wasn't that the coffee Coca-Cola, the black one? Yeah, Bubblicious soda. Oh God, yeah, the bubblegum cola. Ugh, yeah. Cult is a bit much, says Elizabeth. Fans, perhaps. Yeah, the real Bucky. Hello. Uh, want Mario to have a mooning taunt in the next Smash. That is all. Oh, okay. Seems more like a Wario thing than a Mario thing. But can you imagine Wario, specifically Wario's face, if Mario just suddenly turned around and dropped Trow? See, that's my gimmick, Mario. I'm gonna have to escalate now. Um, Lyrically C says we only have Mountain Dew cane sugar here in Illinois. Corn syrup. There you go. Viper says we get Urn Brew and Dandelion plus Burdock over here in England. Huh. So let me look at stuff. So anyway, that's why I've been enjoying Sleeping Dogs. So interesting Thanksgiving discussion. Let's gather around the virtual table and discuss video games and soda. So one of the videos that I've been why don't you have a pork bun in your hand? Yeah, that's one of the Viper says that's one of the incidental dialogues in Sleeping Dogs. One of the pork bun vendor. Hey, you look hungry. Why don't you have a pork bun in your hands? Man cannot live without a handful of pork buns. Something like that. It's almost abusive. You're just like, it's a psychological thing. It's like, why don't I have a pork bun in my hands? Where have I gone wrong in my life that my hands are pork bunless? It's actually going to the night market in Sleeping Dogs is hard because you are surrounded by vendors yelling at you. And for introverts like me, it can be scary because you have a pork bun guy. Why don't you have a pork bun in your hands? It's like, okay, it's like, hey, dude, you look sexy. Let me dress you. I've got awesome shirts. It's like, no. It's like, hey, buddy, I've got a sound system I could sell you. I honestly didn't steal it from a truck earlier. It's constantly surrounded by people yelling at you. It's like, get me out of here. It's like, no, you're here to extort people because you're in the mafia. It's like, oh yeah. Um, so let's see, sleeping dogs. So surprising no one. Monster Hunter World is not quite done yet. They're going to have a little crossover with. See, Monster Hunter has crossed over with a lot of Capcom franchises. You know, it's crossed over with Street Fighter, so you get Sakura and Ryu costumes. It's crossed over with Mega Man, so you get a little Mega Man costume. It's, pardon me, crossed over with Resident Evil, so you get a Leon and Claire costume. But it also crossed over with Sony's Horizon Zero Dawn, so you got an Aloy costume. Crossed over with CD Projekt Red's The Witcher, so you got Jerry of Rivera, Geralt, what's Henry, whatever his name is, Mr. Witcher. But there's one final, maybe, one more at least, collaboration. Monster Hunter is collaborating with Monster Hunter. Yes, Monster Hunter is collaborating with Monster Hunter to bring Monster Hunter across Monster Hunter. It's a movie tie-in. The Monster Hunter movie is coming out in December. And you get the Mia her costume. So that's fun. Because we need something to bide the time until Monster Hunter Rise comes out. One of the videos I'm working on is I first got into Monster Hunter back in Monster Hunter Tri, 3rd generation. And loved it. Thought it was great. Then Monster Hunter 4 was announced. Unfortunately, it was straight handheld. It was only on the 3DS. So I was like, not a handheld gamer, so I skipped it. But I remember seeing the first trailer for Monster Hunter 4 and going, ooh, I've got some ideas on what I'd like to see for a new Monster Hunter game. So I wrote down a list of all the things I'd like to see in Monster Hunter. It's like 20, 25 things. Actually made a video of my top 5 things I wanted to see in Monster Hunter. And I've been thinking it'd be interesting to revisit that list, you know, see what I wanted back before 4th generation came out and see how much of it actually eventually came true in 4th and 5th generation and stuff and in what ways. I haven't done that yet because I'm lazy. But it's one of the things I'm thinking about doing. For example, one of the things I wanted in a Monster Hunter game was a pronunciation guide. Like, is it Lagiacris? Lagiacris? I don't know. So I always thought maybe the Monster Hunter manual would have a pronunciation guide in it. Simple thing that you could put in there so that you know how the hell you're supposed to pronounce Quarpeco. Kurupeco? I have no idea. A lot of times you have to, if they haven't completely changed the name, a lot of times you can just look up the Japanese name, and that's usually gives you a real big hint on what the name is supposed to be. They don't have a pronunciation guide in 4th and 5th generation, but in World and Iceborne, there's voice acting in it now, so the characters will often refer to many of the monsters by name. And that's how we learned that Elatrion is actually pronounced Alatreon, which is wrong. um, so not exactly what I wanted, but interesting to see. It's kind of halfway there in a way. So that's one of the videos I'm thinking of doing. Uh, so will the 2020s be that says Bucky? The rise of the video game movie, the way the 2000s was for comic book movies, they start getting better. They start being taken more seriously. It's interesting. They've been doing video game movies since the late 90s, but they've always been individual oddities. Actually, not even late 90s. Super Mario Brothers movie was like mid 90s or something. Um, yeah, it would be interesting. They've been trying, and they've had some valiant efforts. And I'll be honest, every now and again, I keep thinking about the Prince of Persia movie. I'm like, weren't they making a Prince of Persia movie? And I'm like, yeah, they did, didn't they? That actually came out at some point, didn't it? They made an Assassin's Creed movie too that had Michael Fassbender in it. I'm sure that came out at some point. Was it any good? Did anyone ever see it? Um, I ca- so I would. The thing I like about the glut, if you will, of comic book movies is they're generally pretty good. Not all of them are good. Some of them are bad, but I think on average, most of the comic book movies are at least pretty entertaining. Um, most of the video game movies are just kind of bad, but I would really love to see someone just nail the formula of video game movies and just getting full length adaptations of some of our favorite video game properties that are actually really good without grading on a curve or without making um extreme caveats to their entertainment value. Oh, it's really entertaining if you just ignore this, or if you're a super fan of the franchise and aren't worried about things like plot or characterization or narrative cohesion or plot consistency, or any of those things that one might typically ascribe to a successful and competent movie. Um, and to be fair, I have not seen a lot of the more recent video game movies. Although one video game movie that I've not seen is not actually based on an actual video game, but still a video game movie that everyone tells me is actually pretty good, are the two new Jumanji movies. Those are video game movies, not based on an actual video game, but they are video game movies. And I've heard from multiple people that they're both pretty darn good. So, but I did not see Rampage. Actually, I've heard mixed things, but I've heard people say it's really good and others say it sucks. So, um, I did not see the Tomb Raider movie. The recent one. I saw the original Angelina Jolie movie. Did not see its sequel. Did not see the new one with Susan V. Kander or something like that. Um, I did not see Assassin's Creed. Did not see Prince of Persia. So yeah. I don't know how well they've been doing for themselves. The Monster Hunter movie looks kind of bad, but again, it's like completely the wrong approach, in my very humble yet inerrant opinion. Um, I remember longtime fans of the Molehill Mountain podcast will remember this because I keep bringing it up. Back when they announced they were going to do a Monster Hunter movie, I said on stream, the worst thing they could do is do some dumb thing where modern day real world people fall through a portal and land in Monster Hunter World, and they got to figure out how to get home, and then they get home and bring the monsters with them, and then you have a Rathalos fighting in the middle of New York. No one wants to see that. That is the single worst thing you could do with a Monster Hunter. That's exactly what they're doing with the Monster Hunter movie. That is exactly what they are doing with the Monster Hunter movie. You have modern day military peoples who get fall through a portal in a Monster Hunter world, and then they come home and bring a Rathalos with them that fights in the middle of a city or something. Interestingly, the international trailers for the film are cutting around all that dumb stuff and are focusing on the actual monster hunterness of Monster Hunter. And it looks pretty cool. You know, it's like, ooh, sand chips, ooh, monsters, ooh, hunters, ooh, palicos, ooh, the meat roasting thing. Stuff we know from the game. Yay. Not any of the stupid real world fall through a wormhole crap that nobody likes. Ah. Oh, but you need an audience insert character. Yes, but you don't literally need person from Earth falling into your story. I mean, that would be like if the Lord of the Rings movies, um, the Fellowship of the Ring. You've got Frodo, Kodo, and Podo. No, that's Beastmaster. The Frodo, Sam, the other two, Gimli, Legolas, uh, Gandalf, and Aragorn and Boromir, um, and Susan. Susan was just some woman who fell through a portal and landed in Middle Earth. She's the audience insert character, you see. You need her there to ask the dumb questions like, the Shire? What's that? Sauron? The One Ring? Do tell. Oh, what's that? They made the Lord of the Rings movies without Susan falling through a portal and landing in Middle Earth, and the movies were still fine. In fact, they won Oscars? Huh. Imagine that. It's almost like you don't have to do dumb stuff like it. But seriously, imagine if they did that. Imagine if the Lord of the Rings movies had a Susan in them who was a modern day American woman who fell through a portal and landed in Middle Earth. Can you imagine? Feh, feh, I say. Alicia Vikander. There you go. Susan, Alicia. Oh, Detective Pikachu. Detective Pikachu was pretty good. I like Detective Pikachu. I did not see Sonic the Hedgehog. Looked terrible, but it had a terrible looking hedgehog. And then they made the hedgehog not look terrible. So now we have a not terrible looking hedgehog and a terrible looking Sonic the Hedgehog movie. I maybe it was good. I didn't see it. I don't know. But Detective Pikachu is pretty good. Um, da, da, da. There's a Mega Man movie in the works. Cool. So a person falls through a portal and lands in the future of 20XX. uh, Viper says, I always wondered how you went about writing guides for those games. Where the heck do you start? That's a good question. I don't know if you're talking about a specific game, but I did write the guide to, for example, Monster Hunter 3 Ultimate. Took me like 2 months. Um, I the biggest guide projects I ever worked on was Monster Hunter 3 Ultimate and Hyrule Warriors. That one took me like 7 or 8 weeks too. Just really long games. So to answer your question, every guide that I wrote takes a different approach. So the major question I asked the first thing I did was just play the game for a couple hours just to get a handle on what the game is and what its how it works, what its various components are. Then I asked myself, okay, as a player of this game, hmm, hmm, this armrest is coming off. I'm gonna have to fix that. What was I talking about? Okay, so as a player of this game, what would I want to know about it? I would try to put myself in the shoes of someone who would be hitting up the internet for information on the game. What because some games you don't really need a walkthrough for, um, because they're either very linear or they're easy by design. Um, so I always tried to ask to answer the question, what would be the most useful information that I could impart to readers that they would actually want to know, and presented in a way that they'd understand. Um, One of the things that so for Monster Hunter, I've created a bunch of interlinking tables, um, that allowed you to, for example, the armor page had all the armors in the game, and each armor set had all the skills attached to that armor set, but those skills would individually link out to the skills page, and it would go down to the anchor where that specific skill is, and then that skill would list all the armor pieces that that skill was attached to and would link back to the armor page. So no matter what you were looking for, if you were looking for, okay, I want the heroics skill, what armors is that attached to? You could just look up heroics and you could see all of the armors. Or if you just wanted to look at a particular armor set and see what skills there were, you'd have that. I also had tables for all of the various items, the different ores, the different plants, all the different gathering materials, and where exactly on the maps they spawn. Because a lot of the time you're like, I need honey or I need mechalite ore. Where do I get that? So I had an alphabetical table, uh, that had all of the regions on it with little check marks per region. And each check mark would take you to the individual map, which was an interactive map which would allow you to filter for whatever you were looking for. So it was really easy. Monster Hunter doesn't really require a walkthrough so much. You pick a mission, you go hit the monster until it dies. Most people for Monster Hunter want information on where stuff is or how to use it or where to get it, that kind of thing. So that's the approach I took with Monster Hunter. But then you have very different game, like the one game that should have a sequel and everyone should play because it's awesome, Zack and Wiki, back on the Wii. Zack and Wiki is a puzzle game. So that would require a walkthrough because sometimes you could be like, I don't know what to do to move forward in this level. But the fun of the game is figuring it out. So rather than just write a completely spoiler filled walkthrough, I took inspiration from um, the instruction manual for Sierra's King's Quest 3. Back in the 80s, Sierra released a series of point and click adventures called King's Quest. Now, my favorite of those games is King's Quest 3. Um, and The instruction manual came with a little couple of pages in the back of the book that was a hints section. It says the evil wizard, so it would say, question, the evil wizard Mananan keeps stealing all my crap or notices I have crap on me and then kills me. What do I do? And then there was answer one, two, three, and four. Um, and the answers would get more specific. So answer one would be find a place to hide them. Answer two would be more specific, like maybe there's somewhere in your room you could hide them. Answer three would be it just put them under your bed. And how it did that was the answers were invisible. You had to use a highlighter to make the answers appear. So if you went into the back of the book, you could highlight the first line to get a vague hint to point you in the right direction. If that didn't help, you could highlight the next one, and so on and so forth until you got the actual answer. So I wrote the IGN Zach and Wiki guide um, similar to that, where I came up with all the questions I figured someone stuck in the various levels would have. How do I get past this, or what do I do now? And then I wrote progressively more specific answers and put them in uh, like uh, white text boxes that you had to highlight to read. And I've always been pretty proud of that. I thought that was fun. So every game is different, but generally, what I do is I try to figure out what information would be most useful to gamers. For example, you might think writing a guide, well, I will get a page of and list every move in the game, like all the controller combinations for the different fighting moves. You could do that, but if the game already lists all of those in the menu, then it's not as useful. And there's probably something more useful you could write. I always tried to not just regurgitate what the game was already telling you, but provide information that players would actually find useful. I wrote the guide for Pokemon Rumble U, one of the most boring games I have ever played. It's a game where you are a toy Pokemon, and you are thrown into an arena with a bunch of other toy Pokemons, and you have to battle until they're all dead, which means just hold the control stick in the direction of the nearest Pokemon and keep tapping the A button until it dies. That's it. There's your walkthrough. The game is there's like literally no. I remember playing this game for a little bit and thinking, oh my god, what the hell am I going to write for a guide? You don't need one. There's no strat. Hit the A button. That's the entire walkthrough. just hit the A button. That's all you need to do. So what I did for that guy is like, all right, what would anyone actually want to know about this game? What would someone playing Pokemon Rumble U go to a guide to look up? So what I came up with was I made essentially a Pokedex for the game. I made a list of every Pokemon in the game and where you got them, and any other relevant information. So I figured anyone playing this game is like, I want Pichu. Where do I get Pichu? And so you'd go to the guide and you'd look up Pichu and you go, oh, you get him in level 3 or whatever. So that's the approach I always took to writing guides. I also tried to make the guides not stale, especially in the walkthrough portion. I always tried to make them fun to read. And one of my favorites, I think, is the guide I wrote for Bully, uh, which was a Rockstar game. And fun game too. Really like that one. And I just tried to inject my own personality in it. There are different schools of thought on whether you should or should not do that, but if it's news reporting, I agree. But if the work, in this case, a guide or walkthrough, is meant to enhance your enjoyment of an entertainment product, I don't see any reason not to try and make the guide itself entertaining in and of itself. And I always felt that I did a decent job making elements of the guides, at least, entertaining in their own right. I sat there thinking, you know what? I bet there's someone out there who read the next page just because they enjoyed my writing, and get a kick out of that. So, let's see, where are we in the chat here? American McGee's Alice. Wow, I haven't thought about that one for a while. Yeah, it's early 2000s. I bought the Blood Rain movie. It's actually over here somewhere. Those are my unwatched ones. Um, I bought it as an Uwe Boll film. I bought it specifically because it came with a free copy of Blood Rain 2. Because I played the original Blood Rain back on the GameCube, and I thought it was a lot of fun. And I was looking forward to the sequel, but then they released it on everything but the GameCube. For everything but GameCube. VBG. Yeah, that was a thing before I did the for everything but Wii U. So yeah, I bought an Uwe Boll movie just so and I never watched it either, but I still haven't bothered playing the game either because I hate playing games on the PC. But maybe I'll play that for one of my Sunday streams at some point. Um, TriLink, exactly the same reason why I don't want a Legend of Zelda real life movie. It just wouldn't be done faithfully. Interesting thing about Legend of Zelda is it could be. I definitely agree that there are a mountain of ways to completely do it wrong, but I would posit that there are multiple equally valid ways in multiple equally valid yet completely different ways to do the Legend of Zelda right. Um, I know there's an actual Hyrule compendium or something that links all the stories together into this weird triple timeline thing, and with Age of Calamity doing some time travel shenanigans, it might be 4 timelines now. But I've always looked at the Legend of Zelda as the legend of Zelda, the same story, just told different ways by different people over the years. It's like, hey, did you ever hear the Legend of Zelda? There's this kid on a farm who did. It's like, yeah, and then you hear, yeah, I heard he had these weird masks and they went to this temple of time. And he traveled to the future, and it's like, no, I heard he turned into he got sucked into a painting and then had to flatten himself along walls. And, it was these weird legends that evolved around the same idea, not literally the same 3 people reincarnated multiple times over centuries, which to me is kind of stupid, but the individual games are fun. So I've always looked at it as just legends. The simple thing, you've got the Princess Zelda, the hero Link, the bad guy Ganon. You've got the general setting of Hyrule, which has the Kakariko Village, and it has the Gerudo Desert, and it has the Lake Hylia, has the Gorons and the Zoras and the bird people, whatever, that Ruto, and whatever stories you want to tell, and the Triforce, whatever stories you want to tell with that basic setup, go for it. Just don't have some modern day asswipe fall into a portal and end up in Hyrule. We don't need that. That's the way to do it wrong. Also, I'm not really a stickler for Link being left-handed. It'd be nice because it's just a thing, but he's been right-handed enough now. It doesn't really matter. But if you do want to make Link a silent protagonist, make him deaf. That would be cool. Also gives you an excuse to have Navi or Fee or any of the other companion characters. The reason they're speaking for Link, it's because not everyone speaks HSL, Hyrule Sign Language. You'd have your typical silent Link. We'd have representation for the deaf community. That would be great. It's just one of the things you could do. So I'm a little less concerned about a live action Legend of Zelda because I feel there's a lot of room to do different things. It doesn't have to be one thing, but you could definitely do it wrong. Again, some modern day person falling through a portal and ending up in Hyrule. Don't need that. So, but for example, the Castlevania animated series on Netflix has been pretty entertaining. I've enjoyed that. Um, I do feel that something like a Mario movie should probably be animated because it's just so whimsical that it probably wouldn't it would be very difficult to make work in live action. The Wachowskis could probably do it. I still think Speed Racer is really good. Um, so imagine that kind of energy of translating heightened reality and whimsy to live action applied to something like the Mario universe, Mushroom Kingdom. That could work. So I'm not saying it's impossible, but I think it would be easier to adapt something like Legend of Zelda to a live action format than it would be um, Mario. I don't know why snapping helps me think. I don't know if it does help me think, or if it's just something I do to fill time while I'm forming words. Mm. Uh, Frodo, Kodo. Yeah, what I said, Kodo, and I said Frodo, Kodo, and Podo, which were the ferrets in Beastmaster. Didn't they make a third Beastmaster? I don't think I ever saw that one. I saw the second one, which was the Through the Portal of Time, where the Beastmaster actually ends up in modern day Los Angeles. And for all my complaining about stupid people falling through portals into the fantasy land, I remember, at least when I was a kid, enjoying Beastmaster 2. I think the third one was like called The Eye of Braxis or something like. I don't think I ever saw it, so no idea if it was any good. Um, Mark Singer, is that's the guy that was the guy who played the Beastmaster, right? And did the that high pitched Falcon call that he did that was cool. Yeah. Freekill says, I was kind of disappointed when Nintendo made the official timeline or timelines. It was fine before that when they repeatedly told fans, no, there's no interconnected continuity. Stop asking. Yeah, it felt less like more of a fun thought exercise. I mean, it's fun to take the disparate Zelda games and try to organize them into some way, some continuity, just as a thought exercise. It's fun. The Hyrule, I didn't read it, but that project felt to me like kowtowing to some of our sillier fans rather than just engaging in some good-natured fun. Let's see if we can make an actual workable continuity out of this. That'd be fun. It didn't. That I would have been fine with, but yeah, it felt like succumbing to fan pressure, which, especially these days, you don't want to do because fan pressure can often be very, very toxic. Viper says, so that's why he never answered when Navi kept saying, hey, listen, look, listen, watch it. Yeah, he's deaf, Navi. He can't hear you, you inconsiderate twerp. Imagine Link turning around to the fairy frantically. He's like, yeah. Look, I'm hard of hearing, dumbass. um, isn't Sony doing the animated Mario movie? I think it's Illumination. Does Sony own Illumination? I don't know. Someone Google that. Um, oh, is it maybe Universal owns them? I think Illumination is the specific studio that's actually doing the animation. It might be a subsidiary of Universal. I'm not sure, but since the Mario Park is at Universal Studios, that would not surprise me. Freekill says Speed Racer was amazing. I thought so too. I don't think anyone else ever managed animation to live action transition that well. Yeah, the Ang Lee's Hulk movie has some really interesting attempts to merge the feel of a comic book with a movie, and they're neat, but don't they're not as seamlessly integrated as I think we would want them to be. I think Speed Racer does a phenomenal job of using the language of animation to communicate um, story and emotion and all that all that relevant part of its narrative through visuals in a visually cohesive way. Um, so yeah, kudos. That was the Wachowskis who did that movie. I'm not wrong about that, right? I'm pretty sure it's the Wachowskis, but I thought they knocked it out of the park. I thought it was great. Um, and I was never a big fan of, pardon me, Speed Racer to begin with. I went into the movie, I'm like, as long as he jumps out of the car and does the pose, and then the camera swings around him, I'm like, as long as that's in there, I'm happy, and that's in there, I'm happy. And the rest of the movie is pretty good too. It's got John Goodman in it. What more do you want? Um, let's see. Elizabeth says, I like the Super Mario Brothers movie, but was not a good movie, and the live action was a big part of that. Uh, lasagna is almost done. Um, the Super Mario Brothers movie would love to have been a fly on the wall of the development meetings, because I'm not sure if the movie was made by people who were afraid of hewing too close to the game, or if it was made by people who were genuinely trying to make a Super Mario Brothers movie, but had not only never played the game, but had never actually seen the game and had only ever had it described to them. So you can imagine the people making the movie were like, okay, so Super Mario Brothers movie. Okay, so they're the Mario Brothers. Right. Okay, what are their names? Mario and Luigi. Mario and Luigi are the Mario Brothers? Right. Okay, well, I guess that means their names are Mario, and Luigi Mario. Okay, it's weird, but sure. Okay, go on. And there's a dinosaur called Yoshi. Dinosaur called Yoshi. you know, and there's bombs, which are little bombs. Little bombs, okay. And so you end up with, the Mario and Luigi Mario, who are the Mario brothers, who are plumbers from New York. And you end up with little bombs, and you end up with Yoshi, who is a dinosaur, a little yellow velociraptor. The movie really feels like it was a Mario. Again, it was a movie made by people who had never seen the game, let alone played it, had only ever had elements of it described to them. And they did the best they could with the descriptions of the various components of the Mario universe. It's very interesting. I agree with Elizabeth. It's not a good movie, but it's an utterly fascinating movie, I think. Um, Not exactly what I wanted out of a Mario movie. I don't think it's what anyone wanted, but it is interesting. I'll give it that. And Bob Hoskins is awesome. So hey, um, Viper says, "Can we have a portal movie where a person falls through a portal into the portal world to ask the portal lady about the portals?" That's pretty good. I like that. All right. So chaos. Okay, so chaos verifies that Illumination is the animation studio. So I'm right there, and I would assume it is a subsidiary of Universal. Um, see if anyone knows that. Trilink says I take a Smash Brothers animated movie any day of the week. Quality and animation, the character reveal trailers already shows the potentials there. Oh yeah, what was the not the Wii U Smash Brothers the something emissary? Just a completely nonsensical story, but it was just cool. Didn't make any damn sense, but it was just damn cool. See, what I've always thought they would do is they do a Mario movie, and they do a Zelda movie, and a Mega Man and Samus, and then they'd all team up for a Smash Brothers movie, like they did with the Avengers. They did Iron Man and Captain America and Thor, and then they did Avengers. Uh, bu- 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 bu. Elizabeth says probably a little from column A, a little from column B on the Mario Brothers movie. Yeah, probably. Freako says I saw some documentaries about Mario movie, and from what I remember, it was a bit insane with different people pulling the production in different directions. Yeah. I mean, you probably had a director who had a vision and a studio who had notes and Nintendo who was like, no, here are the things you must have. Um, Trilink says Hotline Miami real. Although with Nintendo these days seems to be a lot more lax. Lax is not the word. Trusting of other companies working with its properties. For example, um, it's collaborations with Team Ninja and Namco and others to get the Smash and the Hyrule Warriors games and stuff like that. And they've had some success with that. So maybe if Nintendo can, find a partner that they trust to make movies. I mean, the Pikmin shorts they did for Pikmin 3 years back, 7, 8 years ago. Those are pretty cute. Um, okay, Viper says Illumination is owned by Universal because they stole the idea of the serve bots from Mega Man Legends to make them minions. Freakle says they had several directors. Yeah, that's you're in trouble when you start up a movie and there's like 7 or 8 production company logos, and you're like, oh god. When the first 60 seconds of the entire movie is just screen after screen of production logos, it's like, oh no, this movie might be a mess. Uh, so I had work yesterday, as many did, I'm sure. Yesterday was a weird day at work because and by day at work I mean a day here working here at home. But it was a quiet day. I had no meetings all day, no emails, no messages on Teams. We used to use Skype, but now we use Teams. Um, I felt like I was the only sucker actually doing any work yesterday. I think everyone else didn't bother doing any work. I may have been the only person in the company actually working yesterday, but that's okay. Uh, so now I can. It's interesting, this whole work from home deal, because day PTO is still valuable. I still cherish my PTO, but and this is going to sound real crappy to anyone who's under or unemployed right now. Um, but PTO is not as special when you work at home because all right, I'm taking the day off of work and I'm in the same place I'd be if I were at work. Because a year ago, if I was taking a day off, I didn't go to work. I stayed home. Now I go to work here at home, and then I take the day off. I'm still here at home, and it's not even really safe to leave home and go somewhere else. So yeah, it's weird. But I mean, I'm very happy that I am employed. Uh, I know not everyone's that lucky, and I'm working full time. Although who knows what'll happen in the man, I tell you, every time I get a message from the CEO, every time there's an all hands meeting or the CEO mails everybody a dear all employees thing, my butt clenches. It's like, oh no, round of layoffs. Who knows? But it's sounding like our company is not making plans to, but is prepared to reduce our hours again, much like we did earlier in the year from uh, April through about August. Um, so that could happen again. You never know. So I mean, all I can do is don't spend too frivolously. I mean, I did buy a case of Coke and some and and, and some chips. Whoops, and some chips. But yep, yep. Come here. Ah. But yeah, just take it a day at a time. See what happens. Um, Chaos says, I think if they were going to do a Zelda movie, it would probably work better animated. Metroid could work live action. It it depends on what you're going to do with Zelda and what kind of budget you're going to throw at it. If you're actually going to have the Gorons and the fish people, Zora, you're either going to I would, if it was live action, I would love to see wonderful costume and makeup effects bringing the Zora and the Gorons and stuff to life. Much like I mean, imagine if like Guillermo del Toro was in charge of it and had the budget to do it correctly, and you got awesome practical creatures like you saw in the Hellboy movies. That would be great. But if you didn't have the budget to do that, then maybe animation would be a better way to go. And if you didn't have the budget to do that and you insisted on doing it live action and you just had a Legend of Zelda but without some of the fun colorful creatures that you saw throughout the world, might feel a little bit stale. Also, even in the more serious versions of Zelda stories, Twilight Princess, for example, even the human characters are really wacky. You know, I it might be better just yeah. I agree that animation is certainly a good way to go for Zelda. I'm not saying it couldn't be done live action, but doing it live action, you could do some really neat creatures if you had the time and budget for it. Gorons and Zoras and such like that in the Rudo. Um, but you probably wouldn't have the eccentricity of character design in the general cast. You know, because you have some wild out there ostensibly human characters populating the lands of Hyrule. And although Breath of the Wild, not as much. So thinking about it, yeah, Breath of the Wild has. I mean, the most out there other of the human characters, the most out there design is probably Beetle, the salesperson. You know, if you do the Legend of Zelda live action, I demand, I demand you get a middle-aged, slightly overweight dude and put him in green tights to play Tingle. I want Tingle Kaloompaing in my live action Zelda game. And I want him just to creep everybody out. Like he's always there in the background floating on a balloon. Just it'd be great. Miyamoto himself should be the mask salesman. There you go. Uh, 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 really, though, Mario, Zelda, Metroid, I love the games. I love the properties. If you want to make a movie, great. Live action, great. Animated, probably greater. I love animation. It frees you up to do anything you want. You're just animation has a way of unconstraining the imagination, because with live action you have to figure out how the hell you're going to depict whatever it is you want to show. With animation, you just draw it. That's of course overly simple, but it's more complicated than that. But still, hopefully you take my meaning. But really, at the end of the day, I love these properties, and I would love to watch a movie or series about them. Make it good. And that's it. Just make a good movie. That's hard. I mean, making good movies or TV shows, it's hard. It takes it takes money, it takes time, it takes work, a lot of work, a lot of hard work and dedication, and it also importantly takes giving a damn. You got to give a damn. Don't just phone it in, because it's real easy to tell when you do that. But I mean, if you take the time and have the resources and you genuinely care and you work hard, you're still not guaranteed to be any good, because making movies is hard. But you have a better chance than if you just say, we should make a movie because we should, or we could probably make a lot of money doing it. And I understand it's business, but hopefully there's some passion behind it. I hope whatever comes of these properties, as far as film or TV adaptations, I hope they're great, be, because I'm selfish and I want to enjoy them. Um, Viper says Zelda could work with something like Henson did for Labyrinth or Dark Crystal. Ooh, a Zelda puppet movie. That would be really cool. Probably never happened because Netflix did not greenlight another season of Dark Crystal. Dark Crystal, Netflix was really quite good. I really enjoyed that. From what I understand, it did very well. It was critically well received. It was actually watched, although Netflix doesn't share those numbers. But the scuttlebutt is that it was widely watched and was popular and was well received. But Netflix still decided not to do anymore. And it's probably, I've speculated about this before, but it's probably just a matter of, it's really expensive and time consuming to do this puppet show. And it is. It absolutely is. No two ways about that. And I imagine the Netflix money people look at that and they say, the amount of resources we would have to. Dark Crystal was great. People loved it. It even drove subscriptions. And we know they want to see another season 2. Hell, we want to see a season 2. But the resources it would take, the resources we would spend on season 2 of Dark Crystal, for that amount of resources, we could make 6 new shows. So that's my guess as to what happened there. It wasn't a matter of them not liking the show or the audience not being there and not being well received. I think it was a matter of it's just really time consuming and expensive to do the puppet show, and they could make 6 other series for the same amount of effort. Which is a shame because Dark Crystal was good, and I'd like to see more. And Zelda puppet movie sounds great to me. I'd love to see that, but mm. uh, and Lindy says I need season 2 of Dark Crystal. I know, right? It was really, really good. It's like a, I suppose I could reheat that. I mean, I still have like most of the bag here. What if I had 10 chips? it's a, it's a Thanksgiving feast I've had. Whoa, damn chair. There we go. Scrape off a few more cheese and beans bits here without snapping my scoop tortilla chip. Nummy nummy. I was talking about Monster Hunter earlier, and really looking forward to Rise. Even though it's on the Switch, which is weaker than all the other consoles, so it can't be as pretty as it would be otherwise, but it still looks fun. And you can have a dog. You could already have a cat in Monster Hunter, and you could play with your cat. Now you can have a dog too. So, and you can play with your dog. So you can dress them up, which was one of the things back when I was saying, here are the things I want in a Monster Hunter. I want to make outfits for my Palico. We didn't actually have Palicos back in 3rd generation. We had Gajalakas, I guess. We had Cha-Cha and Kayamba. Wasn't until I think 4th generation where we started getting the Palico helpers, the cat helpers. But in Monster Hunter, I don't know about 4 generations, but in Monster Hunter World, we could craft armor for our Palicos, and it's awesome. So not only do we get to play dress up with our main character that we play, but we get to play dress up with our kitty, and it's great. So Monster Hunter Rise is coming out. So not only do you get to dress yourself, you dress your kitty, you get a doggy to dress up. So, or even better, you could have 2 kitties. Although the one thing is that the dogs in Monster Hunter Rise are called Palamutes, and I don't know why, because they should be called Palamuts. Capcom, Palamut. It was right there. How could you not grab that? I'm going to call it a Palamut. Palamute. I don't know if there's a pun or something that I'm missing there, but I genuinely don't know why it's not Palamut. Whatever. But I do like about the game. They're doing this thing that they seem to, so far, it looks like the endemic life is becoming a larger part of the game, such that you are actually using the wildlife in more intimate, interesting ways. For example, instead of just picking a berry and it being a mite pill or mite seed or something like that, they have this healing snail called the Escurgo. Get it? Escurgo? That's great. So you pluck the snail off the ground, And you might think, okay, you eat a snail and you get a health buff. No, you plop the snail on the ground and I guess give it a squeeze, and it like puffs into a big green spore cloud that heals you. So you put your little S Cure Go on the ground, and it's essentially a like the health booster in Monster Hunter World. Um, that's really cool. You also have these like little glowing hummingbirds that wander around, and they give you little armor and attack buffs. I don't know if they're stinging you or how exactly that's transferring, but there's also this. I don't know. It looked like a ferret that you like pull out of your pocket and then run around your head and jumps off. I don't. It seems to be some sort of a buff. I don't know exactly what it's doing. There's also the bomb badgie, whatever they're calling those really fat looking badger things. That one of the art was saying they store a lot of gas in their gut. I'm guessing they're fart bombs or something like that. Like you jump on them and they toot in the monster's direction. Maybe they act as a dung bomb or something. I think that's a really interesting idea. So I'm looking forward to what they come up with. Oh, also the I don't know why I'm doing the Spider-Man thing, but the clutch claw is now a wire bug. It's actually a instead of flinging out again, it's not Spider-Man. Instead of flinging out a grapple hook, you're actually using a bug with like webbing um, to Spider-Man your way across the sky. Uh, they're making all of the buffs and the utility tools an organic part of the world that you exist in and subsist with, um, uh, making you a part of the great circle of life. It's a circle of life, and it moves us all. I never did watch the Lion King remake because it looked like it was the same exact movie. I'm like, I've seen the Lion King. I don't need to see it again. Um, Chaos says Palamutes must be a take on Malamutes. Possibly. Doesn't look like a Malamute though. Um, oh, Elizabeth has the same idea. Malamutes. Yeah, it's Palamut is better. I have spoken. Um, Viper says Nintendo paid Capcom $1.5 billion to have Rise of the Monster Hunter on the Switch. Hmm. Hey, Nintendo. Looking at Capcom's history with Monster Hunter and how they like doing portable games, and how the Vita isn't really around anymore. Neither is the 3DS, so the Switch is the only portable in town. I think they would have done it anyway. Unless you're like producing the game. Mm. I mean, I would imagine that I was speculating, and I'm certainly not alone in this speculation, that before we get a big Monster Hunter Gen 6, Monster Hunter Universe or whatever, we would have a smaller portable title like Generations or something. Um, and naturally it would be on the Switch. I certainly don't know the circumstances behind that sale, but it would surprise me if Nintendo had to beg Capcom, would you please put Monster Hunter on the Switch? we'll pay you money. Capcom would be like, "Oh, you'll pay us money if we put our popular game on your popular handheld?" Oh, I don't know. Monster Hunter World is like our best selling game ever. I'm, you know, I don't. We'll pay you 1.5 billion yen. Well, okay, just for you, Nintendo. Yeah, Nintendo's like, wow, you got a prototype up and running really fast. What $1.5 billion, $1.5 billion gets you? uh, so, hey, Eric. Happy Thanksgiving to you too. Lyrically, see, but Rise and Stories 2 is what Nintendo would have paid for. Oh yeah, oh, Stories 2. I forgot about that one. Um, I never played Stories 1. Again, a handheld game, so not really surprised. But I'm also not terribly interested in Stories 2, although I do like the character design, what I've seen so far, more than I did like for the original stories. Also, it's childish, or well, childish. It's immature. But you know what single thing actually turns me off of Monster Hunter stories more than anything else? This is really sad. The monsters in Monster Hunter stories are in universe referred to as monsties. Mm. Nope, I'm out. Like Suzanne seeing a lizard on my bathroom floor. I'm out. No, if you're going to call them monsties, I'm not playing. Which is weird because I like the silliest dang stuff, but that for some reason drives it. Don't call them monsties. That's stupid. Uh, it's like, really, Andrew? You're going to deny yourself a great game just because we call the monsters monsties? Yes, yes, I am. Lyrically, so the yeah, I didn't look into the details of the leak, so apparently, Rise is going to be on PC too. We'll see. Um, so what did we give you money for? What did we give you $150 million for? What's this? What's this shit on the PC? What? Um. So is the handler in the new one like the specific handler in World? Not that I've seen. Um. I know some people really don't like the Monster Hunter World handler. She never bothered me. I think she's fine. I don't. I've never really understood what people. Well, I mean, some characters just rub you the wrong way. Some characters just flat out like the excited A-lister. I'm sure he just drives some people up the wall. Some people just rub you the wrong way, and there's not even really any good reason for it. I imagine the handler is like that for some people. There's some people it's like, oh, shut up. I don't want to open my map. I just want to go hunt. Leave me alone, handler. You handle your shit. I'll handle mine. I don't need you. What do you do anyway? You just cook meals and you pester me about I've been monster huntering since the first generation. I don't need you to explain the intricacies of the map, handler. You go cook the canteen meal so that I can have a attack up large. Zip it. Um, Jared doesn't like her. Her she's there because your hunter has no personality. So she's essentially the protagonist, but she doesn't actually do anything. She takes a lot of credit because your partners and all, pard. It's probably her. It's the same thing with Monster Hunter stories with them calling monsters monsties. It's her referring to you as pard. That's probably what's turning everybody off. Stop calling me that, you horrible person. I will hit you with a great sword if you call me pard one more time. Um, uh, so she's dumb. Yeah, some of her story I don't think is well. They added this bit in Iceborne where she has I forget what it is. She has like this monster scale, and I forget what it is, but it's so clear what it is, and she doesn't realize it. Do you think that this obvious thing is the obvious thing it obviously is? Yes. Yes. Yes, I think it obviously is what it obviously is, handler. Good lord. Um so her personality, as Jared points out, is she eats and she gets into trouble, and she takes half the credit for not doing anything. So yeah, thinking about it, I can see why she would be annoying to some, but I just ignore her. Although the scene where she's picking mushrooms or something, and then uh she she ends up like somehow she ends up on a devil Joe for some reason. I think she like ends up on a great Jagras, and then the devil Joe storms in and grabs the Jagras, and she gets flung in the air, and she lands on top of devil Joe, and you have to go save her. And I don't know, the scene is choreographed well, and it's pretty funny, so I don't mind it. But nah, your mileage may vary. I know some people don't like her, and I can as I explained, I can see why. But she never bothered me much. The only time she really bothered me is in the Iceborne beta, where we got a sneak preview to fight Valkana, the ice dragon, and they give you like a 15-minute time limit, and handler will not let you go fight Valkana until you open your map. This is the Elder Recess. I know. I played through the entire base game. I'm on a time limit here, handler. Leave me alone. I don't need to hear this crap every single time. Just once is fine. Um, so I could understand why people would get really frustrated with handler, but you do get to play dress up with her a little bit. The various uh, events. Uh, what are they called? They actually have a specific name, but the various gathering hall events. They have the spring event and the Halloween event and the Christmas event, whatever. Festival. They're called festivals. So in each of the festivals, the handler gets a new outfit, which she'll wear for the 2 weeks that the festival's running, and they're always pretty cool. And your Poogie, the little pig you have, gets a outfit. Luckily, you get to keep the Poogie. You get to keep the outfits. Handler, you have to buy hers. She'll wear them throughout the event, but if you want her to wear them later, you have to buy them, and they're like $6 a piece. Like, no. And besides, Poogie's cuter. I like my little Poogie. Some of the Poogie outfits are so amazing. Like I love the Dodo Gama one. It's amazingly cute. I also love the fairly new one, which is the was it a Kuluyaku, which it's it's a Kuluyaku holding an egg, and the egg is the Poogie. Oh, it's hilarious. The design of some of this stuff is just so amazing. Um, then the handler calls you partner while I actually what I hate most is when she refers to you as pard. I know where you sleep, handler. I will SAED you if you keep calling me pard. There are only two things I can't stand: calling monsters monsties and calling me pard. Um, are we talking about Super Mario Brothers 2? I love that game. No, we're talking about Monster Hunter, but Super 2 is good. Um, and they should definitely have a Super Mario Brothers 2 visual theming in Mario Maker 2. I have spoken. So, so I finally got around to watching the latest. Eric says, totally off subject, but in connection to your Gem series critique, I think you'd make a great Eric Raymond. Uh, I'll read the rest of the comment because that we'll see where you're going with this. I know I've said it before, but you've got the look and the voice. Oh, okay. So like cosplaying. If I cosplayed Eric Raymond, I would definitely do the Eric is. I'm organizing my thoughts on how I want to talk about this. The nice thing about most of the characters in Gem and the Holograms is if you want to cosplay as any of the main cast, any of the holograms or any of the Misfits or Stingers, um, you have many different choices. I mean, Gem and Pizzazz themselves have probably 2 or 3 dozen different looks that fans would definitely recognize. There are probably more individual looks than that, but what's great is like at the virtual Gen Con this year, we saw the cosplay contest, and we had a few people. You had a few people cosplaying as Gem, but they were cosplaying in different. They were all clearly Gem, but they were Gem in different outfits. Eric, for the most part, is just dude in suit. I mean, it's not as cosplaying as Gem or Storm or Pizzazz or even the Stingers, even though they don't have as many outfits because they're only in like 8 or 9 episodes. Um, you have a lot of different choices, so it's more fun to cosplay as Gem or someone because you have dozens of different looks and outfits that to choose from if you're going for an actual show costume. Eric or Anthony or trying to think of some of the male characters who are there more than once. I mean, Johnny Mac Red, whatever his name is, he's certainly got a look, but he's only in one episode. So Eric Raymond is a dude in a suit. So I mean, that feels like you didn't even try. Oh, I just put on a suit, whatever. But so if I went to a Gem Con and cosplayed as Eric Bad Guy, I would definitely do the Eric, the virtual Eric in Woodstock from the Journey Through Time episode with the bell bottoms and that. Oh my God, that's such an amazing look. Because the problem with Eric is if you just wear a suit, you just look like a dude in a suit. I mean, if you're at GemCon, then it's like, oh, you must be cosplaying as Eric. But if you put on that specific outfit, that's, oh my God, you're Eric Bad Guy from this specific episode. So that's if I were cosplaying as Eric, that's what I would go for is that Flower Child Eric Bad Guy, Woodstock Eric from the Journey Through Time episode. Tech Rat, Elizabeth says, Elizabeth says all the straight guy husbands show up at GemCon as Eric in his suit. Yeah. Shave half my head and you can be tech. I can't. I grew my hair out once just to see what the hell it would do. Nothing attractive, it turns out. My hair just gets really thick and curly. So I'd have to like chemically straighten it. And with my hair thinning as it is, I don't want to use. I don't want to damage it anymore and risk it all falling out. So I'd have to do some type of wig if I wanted to do Tech Rat's hair any justice. But Tech Rat definitely has a look. Eric's just a dude in a suit. I mean, you could do disheveled Eric from what was it, early season 2, where he loses his job. Uh, Pizzazz's daddy gives him the boot before he buys the company back by selling his house. Um, anyway, so Zipper, there you go. But would you be blonde-haired Zipper or black-haired Zipper? Um, they did that a couple times. I remember Zipper just changed hair. I'm like, oh, character redesign, I guess. Changed hair color just one episode. I think it was the what was it? It was early. I think it was the I think the World Hunger Shindig episodes, like episode 9 or somewhere around there. It's like, man, his hair changed color. Weird. I think Stuntman Jeff changes his hair color too. And when he shows up later in the series, his hair is different. I think he's originally like a brown hair and it's blonde later, something like that. Eric says, I need to get a picture of the time in '99 dressed as Roxy. I just went as the male version. I made the red green jams myself. Oh, neat. Time travel hippie Eric would be awesome. Yeah. Yeah, it's one of the nice things about that show. I always enjoy in animated shows when characters have a wardrobe. Most animated shows you see, your well, any of the characters really, they have one outfit that they wear. It's like their entire closet is just that outfit, which is funny because my entire closet is this outfit. But I always like stuff like Gem and the Holograms, where it looks like real people who actually have a closet full of clothes and they wear different clothes on different days. But you see something like I don't know why I'm thinking of Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, but April O'Neil apparently only has one yellow jumpsuit that she wears all the time, which is kind of a weird outfit anyway. I wonder who designed that. Why yellow jumpsuits? Weird. The Simpsons. Marge always wears the green strapless dress. Homer always jeans and a white shirt. You know, you might have an episode where they go to a funeral and he's wearing a suit or something like that. But generally speaking, in animated fare, the characters have one outfit that they wear. Hey, the new She-Ra show, which was great, but the characters for the most part wore the same thing every single day. So I always really, and it's difficult. It's hard to keep track of. You got to design a bunch of different things. You got to make sure it's on model. It's tough to do that. It's much easier to just draw characters in the same outfit all the time. I get that. So I'm always very appreciative of when I see characters change their clothes, like in Gem and the Holograms or Supergirls, if you've ever seen that. It's an anime, which is pretty entertaining, I thought. Lindy says Jeff is a stuntman, so maybe he just dyed it for that one movie and then dyed it back. Yeah, there you go. Elizabeth says it's the benefit of a show selling doll clothes. It's true. It's like, hey, we need to change the characters' outfits. It's like, oh man, that's expensive to animate. Yes, but think of all the new dolls you can sell, all the different toys. Now imagine if all the GI Joe characters had a dozen outfits apiece. You'd have a dozen different dolls for the same characters. Lady J and Shipwreck. You have 7 different shipwrecks. You know. I'm struggling to remember the character. Snake Eyes. There's another. I didn't watch GI Joe. I didn't like GI Joe. I was. I admired the fact that the toys, the figures, which were really small, they articulated at the knees and elbows, unlike most of my other toys, like the He-Man toys or the Ghostbusters toys or the Ninja Turtle toys. Most of those action figures, they articulated at the hips and the shoulders, and their head would turn, but their arms, they swiveled this way, but they couldn't do this. That was the one thing that the GI Joe toys did well. It did that the other toys did not. Is they actually bent at the elbows and knees, so that was nice. Um, Made them much more posable. Made them a lot easier to actually jam into vehicles. It was always really difficult to get the He-Man and the Ghostbusters toys and stuff like that into the vehicles because they only, bent like this. You had to kind of jam them in there because their legs wouldn't bend at the knees. Um, well, what are you gonna do? Eric says, "Sorry to go off subject as you were." No, 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 not at all. We're all just hanging out and having a fun Thanksgiving. Um, Elizabeth says, and then you get Batman in 10 different outfits he never wore. There you go. Um, Man, I'm trying to think of some other animated shows where the characters change their clothes, have different casual outfits. Um, it's always actually fun when I remember there's an episode of one of the animated Justice League, which I think is that series right there. One of the shows Diane Wonder Woman on her day off, and she's just in like jeans and a shirt. And it's like she's in jeans and a shirt. She seems like an actual person. Um, it's just like, it's neat seeing her in street clothes because she's always in her Wonder Woman outfit. Um, that's a great show. I really like this one. For some reason, as one of my favorite lines from the show is that they get sucked into the past somehow. Time travel shenanigans. They end up in the old west. They being Wonder Woman, Green Lantern. I think it's the John Stewart Lantern and Batman. They end up in the old west, and just some horseback robbers with six shooters that try to rob them, and they start shooting at Diana, Wonder Woman, and so she starts blocking the bullets that are being shot from a six shooting revolver, and she's blocking the bullets, and she says, "Those are the biggest, slowest bullets I have ever seen." That's one of my favorite lines from that entire show. Those are the biggest, slowest bullets I have ever seen. It's a great line. Um, she's also so that they beat up the robbers and they steal their clothes to get um, era appropriate duds. And she's trying to get this dude's boots on, and she's like, "Oh God, these are uncomfortable. How am I supposed to fight crime in these?" And John, Green Lantern says, "You fight crime in high heels?" She goes, "Yeah, high heels that fit." It's a good point. Yeah, fighting crime in heels not too bad when they fit. Uh, Lindy says, "Gem is never an off subject. I just refrain myself from talking about that show constantly." Yeah, it's tough being a super fan of a property, and it just because you have to be mindful that you don't annoy other people by bringing it up constantly. So it helps to be a big dork about a bunch of different things. So you're not constantly geeking out about the same property, I guess. Um, Viper says used to love the old Kenner toys. Mask and Dino Riders figures were the same as the old. That's true. Mask also actually did Mask. I think they bent at the knee. Did they bend at the elbows? I have to go grab my Mask toys. Mask was a fun property too. I like those. Um, my sister buried some of them in the front yard, and I never found them. My sister, when we were really young, I mean, she liked burying stuff. I don't know why. She just loved to bury things. She buried some of my toys. She buried some of the Monopoly money. We never found it. uh, Freako says I reminded him of a knockoff GI Joe toy with some bits made of crappy plastic that changed color under hot water. As a kid, that was a feature to me. Yeah, yeah. There were a couple things that did that. I remember. One of the weirdest ones I think was battle beasts, which were little figurines. I don't think they were articulated at all. They were just little sculpts, but they were really neat. And they were essentially a paper rock scissors kind of thing. You had the wood beasts and the fire beasts and the water beasts, and then you can figure out which ones beat which ones. And all of them had a little heat sticker on their chest, so you'd rub it with your thumb to heat it up, and it would reveal what element they were. That was it. That was the entire gimmick. Um, I still have those too, battle beasts. Those are fun. Um, I think they did that. They had some color change and stuff where like you run them under cool water, and they would. I think some of the Ghostbusters toys did that, where like if you heated them up or something, they'd have like patches of purple, like they'd been slimed. So if you run them under cool water, it would disappear, like you wash the slime off, something like that. Of course, with some of the Ghostbusters toys, they sold little bottles of like tubs of Play-Doh that was ectoplasm slime, so you could slime your characters. He-Man actually had one of those too. It had the this really gnarly looking like metal album cover looking slime pit thing with this bony hand that would hold the character in place, and this toothy dragon skull that would drool slime. Oh, this thing is so cool. I have that too. Slime is hard as the slime had to be thrown out years ago. That the slime did not last the decades, um, but it was pretty cool. Ah, toys. Well, I mean, I like when I was in the store. I like browsing the toy aisle, just seeing what's there. I think my toys were cooler. So whenever I see a child, I'm like, "Hey, young child, my toys are better than yours. Your toys are dumb. Mine are better." Um, had some real cool stuff in the '80s. Um, I think one of my favorite interactions with a child in a store was back in '98 when the Roland Emmerich Godzilla movie came out, and the design of the Roland Emmerich Godzilla was controversial, to say the least. Some people were disagreed with a Godzilla that didn't look like Godzilla. I don't think anyone was really opposed to a modern redesign of the creature. They just expected it to still look like Godzilla. For example, the modern remake of A Nightmare on Elm Street redesigned Freddy Krueger. And it was a redesign, but it was still clearly Freddy Krueger. So I was in a toy store, Toys R Us. Remember that? I was in Toys R Us, and I saw the Roland Emmerich Godzilla toy, and it was a big sucker. It was like 18 inches, something like that. And I went, oh, because the movie hadn't come out yet. It was out in like 2 weeks. And they were still trying to keep the design secret, but Toys R Us and KB Toys and all the others were having none of it. They're like, no, we got toys to sell. Sorry. And so all this stuff had hit the, even though the trailers were still hiding what the monster looked like, all the toys were out on the shelf. So I was looking at this thing going, it's a big dinosaur. It's cool, but it's not Godzilla. So there's this little kid there, small child, young, maybe 6. I don't know. I'm not good at estimating child ages. Um, I'm not good at estimating anyone's age. I mean, there are 3 ages. There are children, small children. There are old people, and then everyone else is my age, like 20-year-olds, 40, 60-year-olds, 40. You have to be super old or super young for me not to think you're my age. Anyway, so there's a 6-year-old kid. He's going, "Oh, cool, dinosaur." He's looking at the Godzilla toy. He says, "You know who that is, don't you?" And then he yelled, "Mom, stranger!" No. He goes, "No." I said, "That's Godzilla." And this child looked at the Roland Emmerich Godzilla toy and frowned and stared at it. And then he turned back to me and gave me a look like I was the dumbest asshole on the face of the earth and said, "No, it's not." Because this kid knew that wasn't Godzilla. This 6-year-old boy, he knew what Godzilla looked like, and he knew that won't it. That weren't it. Um, I was a bit insulted, but also validated that I wasn't crazy. Um, no, it's not, you moron. Uh, good times, good times. Another interaction I had with a small child in a store came in 1996, when would have been probably like October of '96, right before the Nintendo 64 came out, and the Super Mario 64 was being demoed. And again, this was at a Toys R Us, so there was a demo station, and there was the weird. Hang on, gotta get a visual aid here. So there was the N64 controller, um, only the gray one. I could have grabbed one of my gray ones, but I like the green one. It was bolted to a thing. So there's this controller sitting here, and there's this kid there again, 6-year-old child or whatever, trying to play Super Mario 64 and having a hell of a time at it because he insisted, I say, on grabbing the controller like this and reaching all the. Now of course he doesn't have huge honking hands like I do. He had little 6-year-old hands, and so he was reaching all the way across from the outside to get at the control stick and having a hell of a time playing the game. And I really, really, really wanted to grab this child's wrist and force his hand into the right spot, but I figured his mother would not appreciate me manhandling her chillin'. So I did not do that because I didn't need to get pepper sprayed. you know, um, I did try verbally recommending, like, try and hold the joystick, by the middle prong. He was just like could not wrap his head around the idea that you don't grab the controller from the outside. It's a unique controller, I'll give it that, but man, and that wasn't the only time. I saw that several times in that first year. Occasionally, I'd be there and I'd see little kids trying to play with the N64 controller by grasping it from the outside and then reaching their thumb across to the control stick, and it hurts my soul. Kids are dumb. Uh, Chaos says they were toys back then were better, and mostly so were cartoons. I don't watch any of the. I mean, sometimes I think maybe I should watch Paw Patrol just to see what it is. Maybe it's really good. I don't know, but I like to think. No, I have seen the first couple episodes, two specifically, and it's an A and B segment. So really, this is the first episode of PJ Masks, which my sister's boyfriend's kids really like, because I was visiting my sister back in the days when we could visit people safely. And notice they had PJ Masks branded everything: lunchboxes, toothpaste, underwears, because the kids don't put their clothes in the hamper; they just leave it on the floor, which is gross. Just everything branded PJ Masks, And I had not heard of it, so I asked my sister what the hell that was, and she says, "Oh, it's a show on Netflix." I said, "Great, let's watch an episode." She says, "All right." So I watched it. Is it good? No, but it does exactly what it intends to do and does it well. Certainly not a show for me, but I think it's definitely successful at what it's trying to do. And I could see the appeal to 4-year olds. Now, I'm trying to, I can't, I've found some modern shows that I think, like PJ Masks or Bob the Builder or Dora the Explorer, that I think are good for what they are, but they're targeting super young kids. The stuff I liked when I was a kid was certainly attractive to 4 or 5 year olds, but also had an appeal to 12 to 14-year olds too. I mean, little kids love the Ninja Turtles, but so did adolescents. Early teenagers. Um, maybe moderate. Maybe I just don't know what to look for because I don't have kids. But or maybe there's just so many shows today that they can afford to be more targeted. Of course, then maybe I also may just be blinding myself because, like I mentioned earlier, the new Shira show. That's that's something that could definitely be enjoyed by super young, but also very appealing to older kids and teenagers and even adults like myself because it's just a genuinely good show. So that might be it right there. The new Shira show and stuff like that. Shira show. Um, Elizabeth says it is not. I'm not sure what you're referring to. Um, wasn't not PJ Masks maybe. Um, yeah, so I try not to do this. We all joke about when I was a kid, our cartoons and toys were better. It's like, I imagine if I showed a 4-year old who enjoys PJ Masks or Paw Patrol, um, showed him, He Man, they'd probably think it was stupid, or Thundercats. They go, "Oh, what is this garbage?" Of course, we've got Thundercats Roar now, which is actually targeting a much younger age range. Unfortunately, I really wanted to watch Thundercats Roar just to check it out. Unfortunately, last time I checked, Cartoon Network or whoever was hosting it only was hosting like the first 2 minutes of the show. They weren't showing the whole thing unless you were a cable subscriber or something. So I couldn't watch all of it, which is a shame because I really would have been interested in. Because from the first 2 minutes, what I found interesting is there were a lot of. It appears to be a show that's targeting the super young, like 2 to 6 years old range, somewhere around there. But it also seems to be specifically nostalgic for the original show from the 80s. Like it's making jokes that only people my age who watched the original show would get, which is an odd thing to do in a show that's not aimed at me. you know, or not only not aimed at me, but does not, specifically excludes my age group. It seems to anyway. Again, I only saw the first 2 minutes of the show. Um, like they were making fun of some of this, like real deep cuts. I'm like, little kids aren't going to get that. Who is that for? You're targeting exclusively young children, which is a perfectly valid thing to do. I don't have a problem with that. But it's really odd to exclusively target a particular audience and then write for an audience is not going that is not going to be there. That's a weird choice to me. Um, Paw Patrol is not good, says Elizabeth. It doesn't look good. I've never given it a chance. It looks. Oh, what is the other thing I saw? It's stinky and dirty or something like that. It's like a bulldozer and a dump truck or something like that. I saw one episode of that and I thought, that's garbage. Like, I mean, you look back at He-Man. He-Man is not good at all. It's actually bad. For the most part, there are a couple of episodes that actually work. Um, that said, there is a charm to it. Um, Same thing with Transformers. Transformers is actually a better show. Generally, on the whole, a much more solid show, better characters, better plot, such as it was. Um, but still, is it really good television? No. Is it awesome? Yes. Is it really charming? Yeah. Um, some of the modern stuff I've seen, like PJ Masks, actually seems to have that charm. Uh, Paw Patrol, the previews I saw does. I didn't see an episode, but it didn't seem to have that. I don't feel Stinky and Dirty does. Um, there seems to be that. I recognize that a lot of the stuff I watched and enjoyed when I was a kid is actually crap. But looking back on it now, I'm going, okay, yeah, it's bad, but it's also earnest and charming on its own terms. I don't see that as much in a lot of the modern cartoons I've checked out. And maybe I'm just watching all the wrong stuff. Or I should stop watching shows that are specifically made for very small children. It's like I can't find any, shows targeting the 2 to 4 year olds that I really like. What am I doing wrong? You're watching shows aimed at children, you jackass. Stop doing that. Um, Elizabeth said, "I wish Avatar had grabbed you. It's so excellent." Um, True. Um, but I did watch the Dragon Prince, which I also did a debut review for, and I thought it was really interesting because I watched the first episode and I said, "Well, this is like this is Avatar. This is the same thing. It's like the exact same not the exact same, but it's in broad strokes the exact same setup as Avatar." And then someone, I think it was Brian, who pointed out to me, it's like written by the same dude. It's like the one of the co-writers of Avatar was the co-creator of Dragon Prince, and and Dragon Prince I really liked. I watched the first 3 seasons, and they're going to do 4 more, so I'm excited for that. I really quite enjoyed that show. Um, so so it wasn't the broad strokes of the premise that turned me off. It was just the specific execution. What's interesting is I've spoken to a bunch of Avatar fans, and they generally seem to be in agreement that um, the debut episodes, the early season 1 stuff, is not as strong on their own merits. It's one of those takes a little while to get the ball rolling kind of shows, but once you get into it, it really builds and develops the characters, and you really start caring about them and wanting to follow them through their adventures. It just takes a little while to get there, and I could definitely see that being the case. There were I did, just because the show is so loved by so many people, I did actually watch the first 5 episodes of Avatar: Last Airbender, and I thought the first 3 episodes were kind of a slog. I didn't like episodes 2 or 3 really any better than I liked the first episode. I thought 4 and 5 were definite improvements. Um, and I liked. I did even even the first episodes. I really liked the design of the show. I like the character design. I didn't like some of the super exaggerated expressions that it's a stylistic thing. I just didn't care for it. And I was pleased to see, the characters would have like, really super deformed cartoony reactions to things that I felt was incongruous with the what I felt the tone of the show was. And I was really interested to see that. I watched the first episode of Korra, the first Airbender. No, that doesn't make any sense. No, it's just called The Legend of Korra. There's no Airbender in the title. It's just The Legend of Korra. I watched the first episode of Korra, two episodes, first, whatever, however much I watched. I was interested to see that they kept the style of super exaggerated, cartoony expressions, but brought it back a little bit. And I think Korra found the right balance to where they kept the exaggerated cartoony reactions, but brought it back to a level that didn't yank at least me out of the show. So I think they did much better with that specific complaint in Korra. Also, the oh god, the animation is much the art rather in Korra is so much better. I imagine it had a larger budget. Um, Seriously, I'm sure it improves throughout the subsequent seasons of Last Airbender, but man, that first couple of episodes, did not know how to draw snow. Your audience should never be. Did they go to a beach? Is that sand? Oh no, that's it's still Antarctica. It's still snow. It doesn't look like it, but um, yeah. But episodes 3 and 4, I think I could see them starting to get a lot more imaginative with the location. I think the fighting and choreography was always wonderfully imaginative and really well choreographed and well rendered. I love the fact that each bending style, form, discipline, however they're categorized, fire, water, earth, wind. Um, I really admire that each bending style or element had its own unique visual form in executing the bending. So a character who was a um, firebender had a move set, a way of moving that even without the fire effects dancing around them, you could watch a firebender do a firebending kata, so to speak, and you go, "That's a firebender." I don't even need to see the flames surrounding them. That's definitely a firebender. They had very circular and fluid movements compared to the very short, sharp. The earth bending has very short, sharp, punchy, stompy movements compared to uh, the circular fluidity of firebending. And I didn't get to see. I didn't see really anyone do any water bending, but you saw some of the air bending, which was kind of had the. Well, I think I think if you've watched the show, you understand what I mean. There's the way elements are bent is visually distinct, and I really appreciated that. It's a real nice attention to detail. So there's a lot about the show I really did admire and like. I just didn't, for Airbender at least, and again, very early episodes. I just wasn't. The characters didn't grab me. I didn't dislike the characters. They just weren't drawing me in as, ooh, these are cool people I want to go on an adventure with. I was just kind of meh on all of them. And I imagine if I stuck with it, they'd probably grow on me. But yeah, first couple of episodes, I did like a lot about it, but yeah, it didn't quite hook me. But Dragon Prince, which similar, unsurprisingly, because some of the same creative people, really did quite like. So there's that. Uh, Elizabeth says Dragon Prince very cool, different feeling overall, but like it a lot. Uh, yeah, the chibi style was not my fave. Korra had a lot of CGI. It did. I think I only saw the first episode, but uh, none of it stuck out as particularly intrusive to me. Not like don't know why this is example popped into my head, but like a year ago, I think I did a debut review for Sailor Moon, which I had never seen before. I'm like, you know what? I should watch Sailor Moon because that's a you know a touchstone of popular culture that I've just never seen. And so I watched it, and I was actually really impressed with it. I thought it was really quite good. Um, Not for me at all, but I was there's a debut review if you're interested in my thoughts on it. And the next week I watched Sailor Moon Crystal, which my understanding was a remake of Sailor Moon. The point being was to adhere closer to the manga. And I thought, well, that's interesting. And I like the original better, the one done in the 90s. Um, where I was going with this is that Sailor Moon Crystal actually uses CG, but doesn't use it in a good way. It's just like the transformation sequence is suddenly CG, and it's like, why? It's not bad CG. I mean, the character's on model. It's just clearly CG. It's just, I mean, cell animation, cell animation, cell animation, CG. And it's like, why did you do that? There didn't seem to be really any good reason to do it that way. So that was to me a bad use of CG. The CG that I saw in the first episode, anyway, of Korra, I didn't feel like it stood out to me as an inappropriate use or a use that didn't work, at least from just off the top of my head, thinking back on it. Um, Bucky says, if Katara and Sokka were dogs, what breeds would they be? Malamutes. um, Elizabeth says they carried these bending styles into the fighting styles of non-benders of the same nations and had experts in different types of martial arts styles on staff. That really shows. I I think in the shows, it was at least the early episodes. What I saw the most of was fire and earth bending, and the contrast between the two styles and the how immediately identifiable the movements and posings of the different bending styles were. I found really really cool. I really like that. I wish I enjoyed this. I wish the show had grabbed me too, because I like liking things. I may come off as a bit of a curmudgeon, uh, but I really genuinely do. I do prefer to like things. I like. It bums me right the hell out when I end up not liking a thing that everyone, and, many other people really like, because I feel all left out. I like sharing in the joy, and it bums me out when I can't. Um, Recent example is the Spider-Man movie, the animated one, Into the Spider-Verse. I was super looking forward to that movie, and I went to see it, and I was like, eh. And then to this day, what, 2 years later, I still see people on social media going like, "Oh my God, Spider Verse is like the best Spider-Man movie ever." Nay, it's the best superhero movie ever. Nay, it may be one of the greatest animated films of all time. And I'm thinking, I didn't dig it. you know, there was a lot I really liked about it, but overall, it left me kind of cold, and that bums me right the hell out. I would love to be that enthusiastic about Into the Spider Verse. I would love to love something as much as so many people love that movie, but I don't. And I don't. It's not because I'm being willfully contrarian. It's just It's just the movie didn't do it for me like it did it for many others. Oh well. So, well, we've been going for 3 hours. So I think we'll call tonight because my chips are going stale and my dip is hard as a rock, and my chips are do not have the structural integrity needed to scrape it off the bottom of my bowl. So things happen that way, says Elizabeth. They do. Um, but I mean, so it's interesting. The hardest part about what I enjoy most about doing things like middle-aged man reviews or watches Gem and the Holograms or my debut reviews is knowing how you feel about a particular piece of entertainment is not particularly difficult. I think we all innately, most of us anyway, innately understand how we feel about a particular piece of entertainment. We'll watch a piece of entertainment and we'll go, I like it, or I don't like it. Most all of us are pretty good at doing it, at least that. What I think is challenging for most people, and absolutely for me, is one, understanding why I feel the way I do about a particular piece of entertainment, and two, clearly articulating why I feel the way I do about a particular piece of entertainment. Doing that is, at least for me, a challenge. And that's one of the things I like about some of the YouTube series I do, like the Gem and the Holograms reactions and the debut reviews and stuff that I do, is figuring out how I feel about something, why I feel that way about it, and coming up with a way to clearly articulate that to you fine people. That's not easy, especially when I'm doing it off the cuff and am not thinking about it for a few hours or overnight and then scripting it or at least outlining it. It's really an off the cuff reaction. And some of my reviews are me. They're not cheating. The debut review setup is I'm going to watch a thing. Camera cuts. I just watched a thing. Here's what I think about it. I'm not actually cheating. I literally record the intro, turn off the camera, watch whatever I'm watching, and then immediately turn the camera back on. So on my debut reviews and the gem videos, what you are watching is literally my immediate reaction to what I just saw. It's not faked. I didn't give it a day to think about it and organize my thoughts, which is why they can sometimes be rambly or unclear, or I'll forget to talk about something like the Destiny song in A Midsummer Night's Madness. Uh, but feelings and emotions have never been my strong suit. So I can use all the practice I can get at clearly articulating to other people how I actually feel about a thing. Because if I don't, then I always look and I sound like this. And people think I'm either bored or angry at everything all the time. So it's taken years of practice to not only verbally communicate how I actually feel, which is very often in stark contrast to how I look and sound, which is why I've also spent years, decades practicing actually varying my tone of voice and uh, gesticulating and altering my facial expression and not staring at the person I'm talking to, never breaking eye contact, because that makes people uncomfortable. One of the things I learned is don't stare at people. You see, socially awkward nitwits like myself initially assumed that it's polite to look the person you're speaking to in the eye. But you see, when you're me and you have a deep voice and a particular intensity uh, to your presence, looking at someone without breaking away can make them feel very uncomfortable. So it's been years trying to figure out exactly what the correct balance is with facial expression, gesticulation, tonal variation, uh, looking away, keeping eye contact, but breaking eye contact so as not to make people uncomfortable because I naturally do that. Sometimes, yeah, I mean, I'm 40 now, and I think I'm getting pretty good at it now. At the very least, I'm much better than I was when I was a chillin'. So, so that's one of the things I really like about, or for is valuable personally for me, is practicing, figuring out why I feel the way I do, and actually expressing that. Because if I can get you to correctly interpret how I feel about a thing, then I'm doing really good. Because when I was young, I found it monumentally frustrating when everyone assumed that I was bored or mad about everything. I couldn't, I would be like, why? I told you I liked, I'd be, I said I liked the thing. Why do you think I'm angry? Why don't you believe me when I tell you that I liked the thing? And now they think I'm mad at them. And I'm not. I'm just frustrated because I said I like the thing, but they don't seem to believe me. Why don't you believe me? So, yeah, it's taken years of practice, but I'm getting there. I'm 40 now, and sometimes, sometimes I'm successful at communicating how I feel about my cartoons. So, uh, Lindy says, "Did I manage to recover the last three gem videos?" Uh, Elizabeth says patriarchy hurts us all. It does, especially people like me who can directly benefit from it, or you would think would. But yeah, it's the negative side is, like Elizabeth says, is uh, stunted, is the inability to communicate feelings and emotions. No, I think that's partial. In my case, it's partially a social thing and partially just an individual psychological thing. But back to what Lindy says. So, for those of you who don't know, I did cheat on the last three gem videos. Those were re-recordings. Um, so I was always a couple of weeks ahead of when so when you saw episode 56, whenever I released that, I had watched and recorded my reaction to that probably about 3 weeks prior. Because what I would do is I would watch 6 or 7 episodes in a row. I'd watch an episode, record my reaction, watch an episode, record my reaction, just work my way through one DVD. Then I'd spend the next couple of weeks dumping the footage into my computer, uploading it into my editor, ripping the shows off of the disk, uploading those into my computer, putting those into my editor, editing the shows, rendering them out, and then uploading them when it was time to air them. So at any given time, I was usually 2 or 3 weeks ahead of where I was publishing. Well, towards the end of the middle-aged man run, I ran into, I was, 2 or 3 weeks ahead like I had been, but then two things happened. One, I had to take a weekend off to go help a friend with a personal matter. So I didn't get to work on my videos that weekend. And then the next weekend, I think, or the weekend after, was the Extra Life charity event, which meant that I couldn't work on because I was busy doing the Extra Life charity event. So I was working my way through editing the videos, and I found out that episodes 63, 4, and 5, the last three episodes, the video files were corrupt. And of course, I didn't find that out until like 2 or 3 weeks after I'd recorded them. Because again, I had some other stuff getting in the way, so I didn't get to them as soon as I thought I would. So it was a while before I found out that they were corrupt. And I spent an entire weekend because the whole point of the series, as I mentioned, was it was my genuine initial reaction to the episodes. And I wanted to, the audio was fine, the video was gone because I record my audio separately. So the audio files were fine, but the video was completely kaputzed. So I was like, I don't want to re-record them because that seems to kind of defeat the purpose of this whole initial reaction. I don't want to recreate my initial reaction. So I spent a weekend, full weekend, experimenting with different things, including, well, what if I re-record them, but record myself pantomiming to the original audio? Okay, but I'm never going to get the lip sync exactly right. So it's going to look like a bad dub. And I did some test footage and it looks like a bad dub and it was really distracting. So I thought, okay, I could put on my face covering and that way you wouldn't see the lip flaps not matching and you'd still have the right gestures in the original audio. And I shot test footage of that. And as I figured, it was just really distracting because why is he suddenly wearing a face covering? I mean, it's clear why, but it was just distracting. So another thing I thought is like, okay, so I could grab some stills from the original file and just kind of do a slideshow. So you'd have the audio playing and just me going, just jumping between poses, just having still images. And I tried that, and that took me a full day yeah, that took me a long damn time to actually put together to see if it would work. And it was just it was just really distracting to watch. And so I wasted that entire weekend. I said, I'm just going to have to re-record them. So I did. So the final three Gem and the Holograms episodes are actually redos. So I kind of cheated. They weren't my initial well, I mean, I did watch the episodes again and immediately react to them again, but it was the second time I'd seen the episode just several weeks later. That happens. Now the funny thing is episode 63, A Change of Heart, the one where Minx goes good for an episode. I had originally re-recorded that. There are two episodes throughout my series. One of them I think is the Beauty and the Rock promoter, and then there was another one where the audio didn't record on the external mic, but the camera still picked up the audio. So I cleaned it up in Audacity as best I could. So I probably pointed out with a little subtitle that says the audio is bad. I know, I'm sorry. And I figure probably what's happening is I'm accidentally double clicking the on button. So I turned it on and it turned on and off and I didn't get recorded. Well, in episode 63, the first time I recorded it, I must have done the same thing because the camera didn't record. The audio was fine. And you can clearly hear me saying the F word a bunch of times as I figure out that the camera didn't record any of that. So I watched the show, I was too pissed off to redo it. So I had to do it like the next day. I watched the episode again and re-recorded it. So that was already a re-record and it got corrupted. So 63, Change of Heart. I actually, that was actually my third time reviewing that episode. So, that's that's one of the struggles of doing all this by yourself. Because when you have someone helping you, you have someone who can make sure that the camera and the mic are actually on, and that the framing is correct, and that there isn't something really distracting behind you, or like you don't have a bit of hair just sticking up in the back and being really obnoxious throughout the entire video, or you having a big booger on your face or something like that. um, when you have someone helping you, that those issues are greatly mitigated. When you're by yourself, you do the best you can. So, um, hey, Colin, happy Thanksgiving to you. Must have been what killed the computer. It's like I don't want to do this anymore. I'm just very very thankful that so Thanksgiving. I'm thankful that my PC, if it had to die, I am thankful that it waited until after the Extra Life charity event was complete, and till literally the day after I finished the Middle Aged Man Watches Gem the Hologram series. I would have been so bummed out. Um, if I couldn't do, if it happened like in the middle of the charity event, or if I had to postpone the charity event by several weeks, or if I had to postpone like the last episode of Gem and the Holograms for several weeks while I got a new computer. I mean it's a it's a big old bummer that I have to in these times of financial insecurity have to break open the piggy bank to buy a new computer in addition to the new car I had to buy this summer because my car died. um I am thankful that it waited until the charity event was done and my gem project completed before crapping out on me. That was considerate as these things go. So, all right. I know for many of us, this Thanksgiving is not. Uh, we couldn't safely be with our family and friends this Thanksgiving as we might like. Uh, them's the breaks. So I hope you all had a fun day, and that listening to me blabber for 3.5 hours gave you a good chuckle and something to do. And I hope you had some chips and dip and soda to keep you company on this here Thanksgiving day. So thanks for hanging out with me, and have a wonderful rest of your day, everyone. I'll still do a actual Molehill Mountain podcast this Saturday. This is not a replacement for that. It's just a happy Thanksgiving to y'all. So hello, James. Um, so take care, everyone. Bye bye.